Hey everyone, welcome to Draft Day here at the Dyl Pickle Movie Network. I am your commissioner, Dylan Randazzo, here, joined by four excellent guests today to draft movie songs. So we got all types of songs for you today. We got songs that are diegetic, non-diegetic, covers, needle drops, song and dance numbers. We have some original song Oscar winners that we're also drafting. So going to be a very fun day. We have some new drafters, some old drafters, some co-hosts, a little bit of everything here because we are drafting a little bit of everything. But first up, I call him like the music expert of the channel because he's always coming into picture this with like albums upon albums to show off. I actually have one of my own albums showing off here, but it is Chad Webb. How's it going, Chad?
It's going great. I actually you will be introducing another guest who is responsible or partly responsible for a lot of my music tastes and the fact that I do collect vinyl. So I'm very excited for this, but the problem is there's so many great needle drops out there that it's just like, how do you pick?
Yeah, I was gonna do one that's just needle drops, and then I was like, but like people might have other songs they want to bring up, so I was like, I'll do a little bit of this, a little bit of that, and then with each category I came up with, I'm like, there are so many movie songs out there, so we'll have to like dig deeper and do like specific drafts in the future if this one's successful. But this is kind of the broad overview, just because it is a very broad topic. But we will get more specific as the years go on, as more drafts come into play. But another co-host of the channel joining us once again, as always, is the Music Matt, Mr. Matt Chapmond. How's it going, Matt?
76 trombones. No, I'm good. How are you?
I'm great. I'm very excited to hear about your music taste. I feel like I get a lot of the direct stuff from Chad on Picture This, but it's going to be nice to hear your music taste as well, because all the music we cover is silly songs and bad movies. So I'm excited to hear some legit taste here. I'm very excited. Joining...
Yeah, sorry, I have a weird taste in music, so it'll be fun.
I love it. I love everyone's taste that they're going to bring to it. Another person, this is the first time guest. Chad kind of alluded to him earlier, being the guy that kind of got him into a lot of music. He also, actually, another great segue, he covered Music Man on Picture This with Chad and I, 76 trombones. It is Charles. How's it going, Charles? Welcome.
Hey, it's
first draft.
It's going great, and I would not be surprised if Music Man is talked about again today.
Ooh, very exciting. How you feeling? This is your first draft. Any strategy going into this, or are you just here to have fun? I said you're a big music guy, so.
Yeah, I'm definitely a big music guy. It was tough. I did some prep, but yeah, I'm just hoping I get a few picks here and there, and I'm hoping I had really good luck in fantasy football drafting this year, and I'm hoping that also transcends into song drafting.
Yeah. If I have any correlation to my fantasy football team this year, I will be dead last in the polls today because I did terribly this year. I had the 12th pick in a 12-man draft, so I got Garrett Wilson with the 1, Puka Nacua in the 2, and I was like, I'm done.
Oh no!
If my fantasy football draft is any indication, I should leave.
Because you didn't do one. Is that what you're saying?
Yes. That's
anyway, we have one last guest here. Speaking of football, I usually schedule these drafts at the worst time for this guest because he's always in the middle of like a Seahawks game. But football season's over, so we have a chance to talk to him uninterrupted. We have Jacob Barber. Welcome back, Jacob. How's it going?
It's going well. Yes, you have my undivided attention this time. I love movies. I love songs. I love drafts. So mix them all together, and I was like, hey, I'm available. Sign me up.
Perfect. I love that. Well, let's get into the rules of this movie songs draft. We did indicate needle drops, things like that, but I'm going to specify the categories right here. A lot of info, but I'll make it easy to listen to so you don't have to squint here. 5 rounds total. It is going to be a snake draft, and the draft order will be determined by a wheel in just a second. So if you have the last pick in the first round, you'll have the second pick in the first round, and so on. We are picking 5 songs each, so 25 picks total. And those picks must include at least 2 standard needle drops. These are just your regular like songs played in a movie. It could be diegetic or non-diegetic, doesn't matter. And then 1 cover sung by a character or a pre-existing song. So if the characters are like singing a song that already existed or something, then that counts as a cover. 1 song and dance musical number. These are kind of representing the bigger, production numbers, if you will, or any time that a character is just singing and dancing. And then, of course, best original song winner. We want to represent the Oscars because it is also almost Oscar time. So you'll be drafting at least 1 song that won the best original song Oscar. Now, for specificity, if something that won the original song Oscar also is like a song and dance number, or also is just like a song played at the credits, that's technically a needle drop. But let's keep it as specific as possible. So let's put that in the original song Oscar category, just to spread the wealth a little bit, because technically all of these songs could be Oscar-winning songs if we really wanted to. And if we do disagree with the eligibility, if we're like, that should be in the song and dance category, or that should be in the cover category, or anything like that, we do have vetoes at your expense. You have unlimited vetoes. You can veto everything if you really wanted to, but you need at least 3 out of the 4 other panelists to veto. So if Matt plays something and I'm like, I don't think that counts, I want to veto, but only Chad backs me up and Jacob and Charles allow it, it will not get vetoed. But if all of us or 3 of us veto, then it'll be overturned, but we cannot veto strategically. It's only if we think it's category ineligibility. Do not veto something just if you want it for yourself. We will veto you again. Please do not mention or discuss films until they are drafted. It's tough because some movies have multiple songs, so that's okay. But don't be like, this song reminds me of this other song from this other movie. I'll try to keep it anonymous because this is a heavy field, but also one that has a lot of passion picks, and we don't want to tip picks. And if I was thinking of a song that Matt wasn't thinking of, and I say it, and Matt snags it, then Chad's gonna be upset if it was on his list. That's just an example, but I'm sure that'll happen a lot where we're all like, oh, I didn't think of that one. So that'll be a lot of fun. So I do have the wheel ready to go. How this works is I will spin the wheel. Whoever it lands on will pick their spot in the order. All right. So I'm gonna.
So
spin
Chad, which one do you want to go first, or it always lands on Chad first?
It
is again. It is again.
No.
What is it?
Oh,
gonna be?
it's Charles. Okay.
Charles. Would you like to go first, second, third, fourth, or fifth in the draft today?
I'd like to go 5th.
Okay, we're keeping you where you are. Awesome.
Solid choice.
So that was going to be my strategy as well.
Back-to-back pick there.
Oh,
all right,
man.
Matt. The odds are in your favor, man. Where do you want to go?
I'd also like to go 5th.
Well, you cannot do that.
I can't do that. I think I'm going to go 3rd. I think I'm going to get the wraparound.
The mid. Okay, cool. All right. 3 names. Who's it going to be? I'm hoping it's me, and it's going to be Chad. Chad, would you like first, second, or fourth?
I'll go first.
All right. So it's between me and Jacob, seeing who will be. Hold on. I didn't remove Chad from the. There we go. Chad's gone from the wheel. All right. The 2 blues here. You're more of like a blue-green, I guess. But Jacob, it is going to be you. Do you want second or fourth here in the draft?
I would also like to go 5th.
Okay.
No, I'll stay here.
Stay fourth. Okay, I'm actually very happy with that. I wanted first or second. If Chad takes my first pick, I want my second pick. So I'm very happy with that. So Chad,
I'm
are gonna.
so confident that none of my picks are gonna get taken.
Yeah, we'll see.
That's how I felt. I'm pretty sure none of mine are going to get taken. So
You think that, and then you have Carly in the Disney Channel draft just sniping Color of Friendship from Chad, and that is one of my favorite moments ever because Chad, the surprise and disdain, but also proud, proud dad moment of like, oh, I'm so glad you picked that. I'm so proud of you, but also fuck you for that. But anyway,
or
Chad,
like
you are
when
gonna
I
get.
was.
Oh,
sorry. When I was saving the Evil Dead trilogy for the end because no one was going to pick it, and then you picked it. Bastard.
Yeah, sorry. It happens. All right, Chad, you do get to kick us off here though with your first overall pick. What's it gonna be?
Okay, so I'm gonna go with my my best original song Oscar winner.
Mm-hmm.
There's actually so many. This is kind of a deep field that I was like, oh, I could get that, but I think I'm gonna go with the one that is very special to me for a couple different reasons, and I'm gonna go with Over the Rainbow from The Wizard of Oz.
Nice.
And I think it's like just a really great like first pick. It's like a kind of a 1-1, like maybe the best one that's ever won. I know there's a lot out there, but like, how many like classic, movies that probably should have actually won Best Picture. If you watch Gone with the Wind and go, no, maybe not. I feel like this is like one of the first like best like I want songs that like every movie, like Disney movie and other movies, like have a lot of these types of songs that it's like, this is the start of my journey. There's got to be something else kind of a deal. And then, she goes on this grand adventure. So it's used well in the song. It's sung beautifully by Judy Garland. It's just, you throw that on and you're just kind of like, you are whisked away to something else by her. And, for personal reasons, it's just one that I sing to Elliot every night. So I don't sing like the full thing, but we just sing like 3 of the verses.
But you don't bring the whole orchestra in, sit down, get the music.
There have been times when we have like played the full song and stuff. Like if it's ever been sad, stuff. Like sometimes I'm like, maybe it's not just Mama Dada singing. Maybe we need to bring Judy into this situation right now. But normally it's just I'll start and Mama will join in and stuff. So I'm hoping that's like a special movie, special song for him. So it's a very personal pick, but also it's one of those where it's like this is like the best one, even though there's still so many to pick from that I don't feel like I'm swiping in anything from anyone because it's not like it's a pretty deep category. There's a lot of great ones that have won. So yeah, beautiful.
Yeah, I think it's worthy of the number 1 pick. I think it had to be a first rounder. I think just because you think of music and movies, this is one of the songs I think everyone thinks of, regardless if it's needle drop or original. I'm glad I went second because my whole thing was like I'm torn between 2 in this category, but I want one of them in the first round. So if someone takes it first, I want whatever's left. This is exactly how I wanted it to be because now I can pick my confident number 2. It was between 2 songs. This was one of them. So I'm actually glad you went before me because if I was first, I would not have known what to do. I probably would have picked this one just because it's a more iconic one maybe. But now I'm glad I get to just kind of play out my strategy. But yeah, great song. Judy Garland's phenomenal. Great movie as well. Any thoughts? Charles, this is your first draft. I'm going to throw it over to you. Any thoughts on Over the Rainbow, Wizard of Oz?
Yeah, great song. I guess this was your best original Oscar pick, right, Chad?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, because I was gonna say I would be 100% surprised if it didn't win. But yeah, Wizard of Oz is iconic, and that song is iconic. I think, it makes sense why it's a number 1 pick.
Cool. Any thoughts, Matt? Jacob? Anyone?
I'm unfamiliar with the song. It's from a movie. No, obviously it's a great. It's not on my list, but probably because I assumed it would just be taken. Also, it doesn't have as much of a personal connection to me, even though I watched this a lot when I was a kid, and my kids also watch it a lot. So, yeah, it's definitely a big one for me. But it just wasn't on my list. But yeah, it's obviously a 1-1 pick, even if it would have been my 1-1.
Right. Jacob, any thoughts?
Yeah, I was ready to like jokingly trash on it until he brought up the fact that he sings it to his kid, and like I didn't want to feel like a jerk. So no, it is a great pick. It's a great song. I didn't have, like I said, like Matt said, I didn't have it on my list either. Not because I don't think it's a great song, but just because it's just not one that I go back to very often. I go back to the movie, but it's not like some of these songs. Like I can listen to these songs on the daily. Over the Rainbow. There's a cover of it. I can't remember the guy's name.
It's because it's hard to pronounce because it's like Hawaii, it's like Polynesian.
Yeah, that guy. Like I'll listen to that one. Just not the Judy Garland version as often, but no, it's a great pick. Not surprised that it went 1-1.
Ooh, sorry,
There's
just
some
real
great
quick.
covers of that. Yeah,
It's since we're a little tangent since we brought up that version. I once saw a musician that I really love in concert, and his opening act was John Leffler, who was the guitarist for Dashboard Confessional, but he was doing a solo thing. And he was playing a song, and the whole time I'm like, I recognize that, but I've never heard any of his songs. I was like, I recognize that. And so afterward, I go up and we're talking. He and I are chatting, and I was like, what was your inspiration behind that song? Because I can't think of what it was. And he's like, well, I don't know what you're talking about. And then it hit me. I was like, oh, that's the opening riff from Somewhere Over the Rainbow, the ukulele version. And he goes, listen, I'm not reinventing the wheel here. I was like, whoa, I wasn't accusing you of anything. So yeah, John Leffler has a bad taste in my mouth because he was kind of a dick to me.
Shit.
Anyway.
Yeah, that ukulele version is seminal in my lifetime. I love it.
In Chad, I think you know about this one. The one that I love the most is from Scrubs. That Ted and his barbershop quartet cover. It's just beautiful. And then he plays it again later. Great song.
Yeah, I when I went with my family, we went on a Hawaiian vacation, and I remember I was in a sour mood. I had just been going through a breakup, like literally a few weeks before that, and I was just kind of a stick in the mud the whole trip. But it was for my grandparents. I think it was like their 60th anniversary or 70th anniversary. No, it had to have been 60th because they're like 80 now. They were not 10-year-olds when they got married. But it was like their 60th anniversary, and for the last day, I was walking down the streets of Hawaii, and I bought just a hand carved ukulele for like a few bucks on the street corner. I learned how to play it in the middle of the night in my hotel room, and then the next morning for breakfast, I brought them breakfast in their hotel room and played them the ukulele Somewhere Over the Rainbow on the ukulele I just learned. So it was like it was very amateurish. It was like, oh, I'm figuring out the chords and the fingerings, but that's just like a very special moment in my memory and my grandparents and my relationship. So love that song. It's iconic. But I'm very happy that I can snag my like number one. There's like a 1A, 1B, and it's for me probably nowadays. I don't want to say more iconic, obviously, because Over the Rainbow's iconic as hell. But I hear this song a lot. It's My Heart Will Go On from Titanic is going to be my best original song pick. I think that it was between these two because also I love this movie so much, and it's not just the song; it is the theme. Like that is the love theme. I love when a song kind of translates into the score. Like James Horner used the themes of the song. I don't know if it would chicken or egg if James Horner's score inspired Celine Dion or vice versa. But they use this theme so well throughout the song, throughout the movie. And I just think it just speaks to their relationship and the tragedy, but also the just outpouring of love and emotion. And just when you sit in that theater, a lot of people like to get up during the credits, but there's no way when that song is playing in the credits and then she hits the key change, like you're seated. And I love that, not because you're necessarily there for the song, you're also overwhelmed with emotion, but I just love that it could just like hold you in your seat and lock you down because it's that good. So I love this song. I love singing this song. I love singing along to this song. If I ever make a movie, I'll try to get the rights to play it in whatever movie I make because I love the song so much. But there are still so many great original song winners on the board. But for me, it was like this and Over the Rainbow were the two I thought of first, wrote down without even having to look. So this is what I'm very happy to have at the number 2 slot. My heart will go on.
It definitely was on my list, high up, because this song slaps. I love it so much. It's one of those things to where, because like right after Titanic came out and it like got so big, it was like the biggest thing ever. And then like, not too long after that, it got the whole wave of that movie's overrated. That movie's not actually good. All the criticism started to roll in. And the song also got so like kind of like it's overplayed. Oh, please don't play it when the whistling starts.
They memed it a lot. Yeah.
Yeah.
Like the bad flute version.
Oh, that's a good one. The recorder or whatever.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, the recorder. Yeah.
But the thing about it is that it rules. Like it's like how can that song annoy people so much? Because I don't know if it does now. Actually, it might have like a kind of a resurgence because I think like the movie's pretty beloved now. But yeah, it's one that I definitely it hits every time. Like the actual motif plays in the film, but then like when the song starts and it just gets really big, I just love Celine Dion, and I think she's just like one of the big like queens of the Oscar song. So this is definitely a great pick for sure.
Cool, Matt.
Yeah, this is also not on my list, but mostly because most of my picks are personal. That's just how I do mine. And so this one wasn't on my list. I did see this movie twice in theater, and you're absolutely right. You don't really get up during that closing credits section. But it's a great song. It did have the Let It Go thing that happened to it. Well, I guess Let It Go had the My Heart Will Go On thing that happened to it, which was that it was so played like that it was people started to hate it. I think it happened with We Don't Talk About Bruno as well. Like there's a thing where a song gets so popular, people are like, gosh, I don't ever want to hear this again. And I think that happened to this song, but it has, I think once that time frame is over, people recognize the brilliance of it most of the time. And that is true for this one. It is recognized as well loved, I think. But yeah, it's a great pick. It's a very good pick.
Thank you, Jacob. Any thoughts on Titanic? My heart will go on.
Yeah, I agree. It's a great pick. If I didn't have my number one, this might have been my number one. I think it's fantastic. I think the biggest crime is that in 2023, Rolling Stone rolled out their top 200 singers of all time, and Celine Dion was not included.
Oh my god!
Just go back and listen to the song, and you'll see why she should be included.
Yeah. Not even like songwriters, but like just singers, like vocal ability. This is she's top 3. Like it's her,
fantastic.
Gaga, and I don't even know who. I think that's top 2. You know.
Yeah, so that irritates me because you listen to the song, you can just hear just how good she is vocally. Then I love the use of it. Like there's a thing that stumbled upon a few years ago, was called Selena Scene, and they'll use this song like to like popular sports moments or whatever, and it's fantastic. So
that's great.
Yeah, I love this song.
Yeah. The third one I was thinking of was Whitney Houston. There we go. Because I have like a top 3 trifecta of favorite like female belter singers. It's Celine Dion, Gaga, and then Whitney Houston. Yeah.
Gaga, really? That maybe I just don't know her categories or her catalog very well.
I might substitute her for Mariah Carey. Personally.
Yeah, I would say that probably too.
But Gaga's a good shot too.
That's fair. That's fair. There's like a good list of 10 you can pull probably.
Yeah.
Charles, any thoughts on My Heart Will Go On? Any last thoughts?
Yeah, I was always in the memeing category of this song. It's gonna sound awful, but I never really got like emotionally affected by this song. Like I literally like every single time I rewatch Titanic, I just kind of laugh when it comes on too. So I am the wrong audience for that song.
Okay,
but I have a lot of respect for Celine Dion. Didn't she just perform at the Olympics as well?
I think so.
If I'm remembering.
Yeah.
If I'm remembering, I got to see a little bit of that, and that was pretty amazing. And honestly, just as a music fan, Celine Dion was extremely influential. She inspired like a ton of female vocalists I really love today, like Caroline Palachuk. And so a lot of respect for Celine Dion. And I apologize, Celine, if you're watching this. The memes reached me before Titanic because I watched Mouse Hunt when Titanic came out. I was not allowed to see Titanic until much later. So it's Mouse Hunt's fault, basically.
Okay, Celine. So Celine is watching, and I hope she takes.
Oh well, she's watching. It's All Coming Back to Me Now is one of the greatest songs ever written. So
yeah, that's a great song.
Leah Michelle also. Wow, you just thought maybe think of Glee. Honestly, I could do a whole Glee needle drops video on it in and of itself. But Glee's TV,
sure.
So we don't have to talk about it today. All right, Matt, Matt, what are you gonna pick as your first overall pick?
This was hard because like I don't feel like any of mine are really going to get taken. But I feel like the one that's most vulnerable is my Oscar winner. You guys already took 2 Oscar winners, but I still feel like, and I don't even think it's vulnerable, but the list is so stacked that I feel bad choosing between them like they're my children. But I also don't want to go early with some stuff that no one's ever going to take. So I think I'm going to have to just choose an Oscar winner right now.
Okay.
Oh, I can't wait for honorable mentions so I can just talk about the rest of these because some of them probably should be here. But my reasoning is very similar to Chad's reasoning, which is that I have sang "You'll Be in My Heart" to every one of my kids while I was rocking them to sleep.
Oh yeah, that's such a great one.
I have, that has been the constant through all 3 of my children. Things change the way that we interact with them and the way that we raise them and the way that we do things, But the one thing that was constant throughout was that I sang "You'll Be in My Heart" by Phil Collins from the movie Tarzan, winner of Best Original Song at the Oscars, to all 3 of my kids. Plus, it's just that whole fucking album just bangs. Yeah. That's such a good album. It's one of the best Disney albums ever made. One of the best soundtracks ever made.
It is
100%.
There we go.
100%.
That soundtrack,
it's all bangers.
Just so good. But "You'll Be in My Heart," and there's 2 versions of it in the movie. There's the
Glenn Close.
And then there's there's 2 versions in the movie and they both are awesome and they're both rock. But it's just such an emotional song and it gets me in the feels. And I loved it before I had kids, but for the last 13 years I've loved it for a very different reason. So
Yeah.
So yeah, it's You'll Be in My Heart.
It's one of those cool, rare instances where it starts diegetic with the character singing it, and then the score kicks in and it's the artist. So it's like Glenn
Yeah.
Close as Kala singing it to the baby, and then like Phil Collins comes in. "That one's so strong." I'm like, oh my god, it's so good. I love this one. I sang this one many times at many recitals, many concerts. This is like my mom and I's song as well. So I love it. I love it.
Nice. If any of you need help falling asleep, just call me because I know how to get someone to sleep singing this song.
Yeah, like we got the full lullaby crew right here. I love it. Yeah, Charles, you seem very excited about Tarzan getting represented here. What are your thoughts?
This soundtrack is just phenomenal. I think the only reason I didn't have that song on my list is that I didn't want to have too many Disney or cartoon like Pixar movie like songs on here, because I was realizing pretty quickly that I was only adding like Disney, Pixar, like DreamWorks songs. So I was just limiting myself. But yeah, Tarzan, I have a lot of fond memories of this album. I remember distinctly listening to the whole album front and back. Like there was like 3 days where I had to like tag along with my mom while she was working. And I didn't want to go into the hospital. So I would go into the car and turn the car on and listen to this album over and over and over and over again. And I remember one day listening to the soundtrack front to back like 6 times in a row. So yeah, this album is extremely important to me. So yeah, love that. Love the song pick.
Yeah, it was a good first round pick too, because I know I already picked mine, but it wasn't my 5 as well. So like I think it's a good it's a good one to take because it is a very popular one as well. Jacob, as someone who didn't pick a song yet, was this on your list for best original song?
So I'm going to be honest, I was so confident that none of my picks were going to get taken. I only wrote 1 down for each category. If I made a list of 5, that would have been on. And if you would have told me that for the 2000 that the entire list of best original songs nominees was from the Tarzan soundtrack, I would have believed you. Unfortunately, it wasn't, but it should have been, because this soundtrack, Phil Collins did not have to go that hard on this soundtrack, but he did. And it's a soundtrack that I still listen to this day as well. It's a fantastic pick.
Nice.
No complaints here.
Yeah, Chad, as another fellow dad, what do you think of this one?
Well, I do think I know what Jacob's gonna pick when he gets to his original song thing. I'm very, and he doesn't really have to worry about anybody because he's up next. But I will say, I came kind of late to this one. Actually, like Dylan was the one that was like, "Hey, you should check out that album because it's pretty great." And I was like, because I watched some of Tarzan when I was a kid, but I don't know if I had ever seen the movie all the way through until I was an adult. But there were certain parts of the movie that, when I was actually watching it, I was like, that seared into my head. Was like, that'll hurt him. Like when he says stuff like that, I was like, that seared into my brain from like a kid just seeing like trailers for it and stuff. But yeah, the song, the soundtrack, just even like regardless of the movie, you can hate the movie and the soundtrack just still rules. It's just one of those, like Charles was saying, you could just like listen front to back, and it's just a great Phil Collins album just in general. So I definitely think this one is very sweet. I don't know if I'll steal this from Matt and sing this one too, but I'll definitely start playing it more in the car and stuff like that. We got a big vacation we're doing in May. It's going to be like a long car ride, so I might have to play this a few times.
Well, listen here, Chad. Let me give you a tip here. Your kid is crying. You've got him on your chest. You're rocking him. You're patting him, and you say, "You stop your crying. It'll be all right." And then he stops crying,
and then you start crying,
and then I start crying.
Yeah, it's
That's
a real
the best
reverse.
feeling in the world. I mean, believe me. This does remind me of the very first draft we ever did on this channel, which was Disney draft, right? Was that was the
very first draft?
Yeah, our very first draft was the Disney draft. And the very first controversy, the second controversy, because the very first controversy was the Stitch controversy. Second controversy was Stitchgate. The second controversy was that I was like, all right, I'm gonna pick the new era or whatever that was called. And I was like, and then I was listing the movies on it, and I was like, wait a minute, Dylan, you have Tarzan in the Renaissance era. You said it went to you said that the new era started in 2000. You said, well, yeah, except for Tarzan. I'm like, that is I was very upset.
Listen, Tarzan 1999 Renaissance, baby. That is it. Yeah, I love the Renaissance. This draft could be just Disney Renaissance songs. If we did a Disney Renaissance song draft, we could fill 25 slots with just those 10 movies. So maybe someday. Maybe it's a good idea. All right, Jacob.
But this just real quick. Sorry, because I was a teenager when this movie came out, and I famously don't really like Hercules and Hunchback of Notre Dame because they came out like Notre Dame. Well, because they came out like when I was a teenager, but like in that brief period between when I liked watching cartoons and when I liked watching cartoons again. And so this era is like the first era where I started to like love them again. And so this was like the first big Disney one where I was like, oh, Disney's still great. I don't know what my problem is. So that's basically.
There you go. You like Hunchback now, or have you not revisited it?
I have not revisited in a while. I revisited Hercules and I still don't really like it. But Hunchback I have not revisited. No.
Okay.
All
right.
Should.
Yeah, you should. It's one of my faves. All right, let's move on, Jacob. What is going to be your first pick?
Also love Hunchback. Great movie. I'm not gonna go with my best original song. I feel like it's safe, so I want to wait. I'm gonna mix it up. I'm gonna go with my cover.
Okay.
I'm gonna go with a cover of a 1929 song that was now the centerpiece of a certain iconic movie. I'm gonna go with "Singing in the Rain."
Okay. Nice.
Gene Kelly. I think this song is fantastic. It's iconic. I thought this was the original.
Yeah, I thought it was too. I had no idea it was a cover.
Yeah, and then after doing some research, I was like, oh, it's a cover. It's a fantastic song. I think it's used wonderfully in the movie. Obviously, him stomping around in the puddles, the dancing, the singing. I think it's all fantastic. It's such a memorable part of the movie. And I love it. I love the movie. I love the song. So yeah, "Singing in the Rain" is going to be my pick for a cover.
I'm just wondering if Dylan's going to veto.
Yeah, I'm about to say Dylan about to veto.
Okay. No, well, because it could be in the song and dance category as well. But yeah,
I think it works.
This is why the specificity rule I always argue against it. Because it should be allowed in both.
I mean, here's the thing. I don't think anyone else is going to veto anyway. I'm not going to veto it. I think, I mean, I won it on the board. I won it in the first round. And regardless of what category it's in, it's a first rounder for me. And I only took My Heart Will Go On because I think that was like a strong. I had other options in other categories. I have options in every category, but this is my favorite song in a movie too. So like I want it on the board, and I'm glad you picked it. I'm not gonna argue against it. It's phenomenal. I have the poster that Chad actually gave me for Christmas back here. I've got the pop that Stacey gave me of Gene Kelly on here. I love "Singing in the Rain." It's the best. I'm not gonna argue it because also the dance does come in later, but it is yeah, I'll count it. Yeah, it's a cover of a famous song.
When I was thinking of big dance and song numbers, I wasn't thinking of just one person. Right, I was thinking like a big right,
because the spirit of it is like exactly. Yeah, and this is definitely a production number, but it is still one guy singing his feelings out, singing a popular song. And this is a movie that deals with the industry and knowledge of the industry. So there's a case that he drops this girl off at her doorstep and then bursts into song with the song that's hot and popular at the time. It's not like it was just I think he's actually diegetically singing that song out of joy, like I would sing Pink Pony Club or something. So I think just thinking of a popular song I love, or espresso after I drink my Dunkin'. So yeah, I think this I'll allow it, unless anyone else wants a veto. But I will say, regardless of category, it belongs on this list. So I'm just happy it's there. So I'm very happy.
I mean, I think it's just really cool because like that's just a fun fact. That's like the movie's called "Singing in the Rain." So you're just like, well, that originated that song, "Singing in the Rain." Like Gene Kelly wrote it. In fact, it's like, no, none of that's true. It's a cover. He just like took it. It was like a popular song back in the day, and then he just gave it a resurgence. And I think this is a really great pick because obviously he sings it well. He dances the shit out of that song. So there you go.
Yeah.
A funny thing there, Jacob, is that I had the opposite impression of song and dance. I thought it could just be like a musical, like a non-diegetic musical number. I I didn't think it had to have dance in it at all. So that was so we had opposite in opinion or misconceptions of that. Anyway, yeah, it's a great song, and it should be. It wasn't on my list on either list, but it is great, and it definitely deserves to be in the first round.
Yeah. And honestly, this makes me feel better because now I can take just another Singing in the Rain number for my song and dance. Because I was honestly going to take this as my song and dance, but I'm very happy it's represented. Because also, if it were in round 2, it would hurt my heart because it's for me the best musical moment in history. So
there's a few really good ones from Singing in the Rain that you could use.
Yeah. Charles, what do you think of this one?
Yeah, it's great. Singing in the Rain was a movie that I didn't get a deeper appreciation for until college. Before that, I never really got, well, I mean, for the longest time, I really didn't get into musicals at all. But when I saw it in college, I really deeply appreciated it. And yeah, it's a fun fact. I had no idea that it was a cover. I thought it was a Gene Kelly OG, but wow, interesting.
Yeah, there you go. Well, Charles, you get to close out this first round here with your first pick. What are you going to pull?
Yeah, so I was originally going to follow the trend of starting with the best original Oscar, but I like Jacob's strategy. Like, we are the only two not to pick that, and I think our picks might be safe. So I'm going to forget about that for right now. And I'm going to go for best music in song musical performance. I don't know if this will be a popular one, but this felt extremely iconic to me. I'm going to pick Time Warp by from Rocky Horror Picture Show. I think it's iconic. It's infinitely just impressive. Like, it's something that has had a huge impact on people. It continually is popular with younger people over time. It is just so much fun to see actually performed on stage, which I got a chance to see at McDaniel College. It was like one of the first musicals I ever saw on stage in that way. The movie is absolutely amazing and also extremely influential for a lot of the B movie aesthetic musicals, and there's like a ton of them. I feel like the song also, like, you put it on like, if the DJ rolls it at like a wedding or something, just like everybody's dancing to it. It's one of the best performances, and also just that song in general. It's basically like, thinking back on it, if I'm remembering the behind the scenes story behind it, the writer for that song and the writer for most of that soundtrack, they originally were going to have a different lead actor for that part that sings Time Warp, and the songwriter was like, why not me? I've been singing this the whole time, I can kill it. And then he became his own character in the movie, like, in a pretty important secondary character too. So yeah, just this song is amazing, and it's one of those songs that I don't think it's possible for someone to get tired of hearing, but it could be wrong. So yeah. Time Warp.
And this is your song and dance number?
This is my song and dance number.
Yeah, perfect. I love it. Yeah, it's so good, so much fun to sing along to.
Broke Matt's heart, I think.
Yeah, and beautifully designed as well. Just the colors and the costumes and everything. Like, the production value in that whole show is great, but that is the centerpiece.
Oh yeah.
Perfect pick. Yeah, Matt, how you feeling?
This is the first one that's been taken off of my list. After I'm, for anybody who doesn't know, I'm not only a huge fan of musicals, I'm a huge fan of campy stuff. That's why I have a show on my channel, Camp, that the whole B movie aesthetic, all of that is just, it's my thing. And then you add in this whole queer element. This musical is amazing. It's one of my favorites, and Time Warp was on my list, and I'm very upset. I'm not really. No, I'm not super upset because I do have other things that I really want to, and you're just narrowing it down for me because, like last time, it's like I don't want to pick any of these. But yeah, Richard O'Brien, who wrote it, he was like, I just need to do this song, and he ended up doing it, and he became Riff Raff, and then the rest is history. And yeah, it's a great song, and I love it. And it is if you have never seen Rocky Horror, or if you aren't really into it, like, you can't, like, it's a little too weird for you, this at least is the thing that everybody can like get on board with the time warp. Everybody knows the time warp, or at least has heard it.
Yeah.
Everybody can do that. And if you don't know it, they tell you how to do it in the song.
It's easy.
And when it cuts to the historian doing the dance, that's just like
Oh
my
yeah,
favorite.
good.
I love that. Yeah, it's a great song and a great primer for anybody who's just not into that musical or wants to know about it. Like, it's just so good. There's plenty of songs you could choose from this, but as far as song and dance number, like, this is the one. So yeah, it's very good pick.
Love it. Chad or Jacob?
Yeah, this is one that the movie itself, I had to get a bigger appreciation for later. But it is really cool, especially like if you watch a lot of some like older, like really old school like science fiction movies and stuff like that you can see that it's like really trying to do like a send or callback to that stuff. And it's just like so many like really cool things just mixed into like one musical movie, and it's really cool with that. And like this one is so pronounced, it's like the song of the movie, I feel like, which is saying something because there's a lot of great songs in the movie. But like this is the one that they're all doing it. You can do along with your pelvic thrusts and whatnot. And it's just really silly. So yeah, this is a really, really good pick.
Nice. Jacob?
Yeah, I was super late to this movie, but now it's a movie that I watch at least once or twice a year, and sometimes I even find myself like rewinding this part and watching it again, like because it's just that good. The song is fun, the dance is fun. I think it's a fantastic first round pick.
And the way that it's filmed too is like really like 70s, like in camera. Just okay, we're doing this. I guess.
Yep. Sorry, I'm looking now for what I want to pick next. Okay. Great. Love it. We're moving on to round 2. Charles, you get another pick now, so we snake it back to you. You've already picked your song dance number, so you get anything from the rest of the categories left.
For my next one, I'm going to pick a cover because I really had a lot of trouble with this category, a lot of trouble. And to be honest, now that I'm learning about the veto, I think 3 of these songs could easily be vetoed. So I'm going to pick one that I don't think will be vetoed first. And that will be Adam Driver covering Being Alive from the musical Company.
Oh yeah,
you went runner on things on my list. Okay.
This is why I picked number 5, because I had a feeling one of these would be popular. But I think that song is wonderful. I am like super in the weeds with I mean, not in the weeds. I'm very sheltered when it comes to musicals, and I don't have a deep appreciation like I should. And so this was actually my introduction to Company. And when I heard this song performed, I was just like, man, this is like, I found myself getting extremely emotional. I felt like it was extremely, as someone that had gone through divorce when I was a kid, Marriage Story felt very autobiographical in some ways and helped me able to process a lot of the things that my parents went through without my parents telling me about it. And when I heard this song, I was just like, I was like, I need to see this musical. And then Hannah and I, my wife, we went and saw during the pandemic. We rented the Company version where they play instruments. And each character has their own instrument that they play, and that was amazing. And now Company is like one of my favorite musicals, and it got me deep into Stephen Sondheim. So like, this was a super influential song for me. But I also think Adam Driver is extremely underrated with his performance of this song, because in my opinion, this is a pretty tough song to sing, and it takes a lot of gravitas to sing, and he like nails it, but he also doesn't like cross the line to where it feels like professional. Like, it still feels like someone singing this at karaoke, someone that would be probably really good at it, since he's also a theater director in New York in the movie. And so in general, I feel like that also, I think the last thing I'll say about this is for the most part, the beginning of this movie is very centered on the wife, Scarlett Johansson's character. But then as the song is sung, then the perspective shifts now, and we follow now the husband more. And so the song is also important structurally for the movie. So yes, that would be my cover pick, and I think it counts as a cover.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah,
I hope
oh
it
my
does.
God.
I mean, it's the most cover of it, because here's the thing: it's not just a cover of a song; it's a cover of specifically the performance in the play, because he does the spoken word portions of the song as well, which are
Yes,
part of the song.
I forgot about that. Yes, they do the spoken interlude in the middle.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. So he doesn't just do the song; he does that part as well, which is incredible. Yeah, this was on my list. Dyl, when is this coming out? Do you know this episode?
Before yours is. I know what
Okay.
you're gonna say.
So
yeah.
either this Thursday or next Thursday, I'm not sure which. There's about to be an episode of my show, Cinema Soapbox, where Dylan is actually going to present do a presentation on Marriage Story. And
Oh,
in
that's great.
It's the
in it
real
we
deal.
do talk about this cover, and I point out in the thing, and I'm not going to name the other one, but there are two company covers in that movie. The women do one, and he does one, and it kind of represents the
Oh my
characters and
gosh,
how
I
they.
forgot.
It kind of represents the characters, because the one that she does is about how he affects her life, like how he how what he does uh, uh, is bad for her, and then his is all about how what he can get out of her. Like that's kind of the trade-off, and that really represents the two characters really well. So I think in the movie this song works so well, but it's also just he does it. He feels like a theater guy doing a cover of a song he loves, and it just it
Yes.
feels so good. Yes, this was on my list.
I'm so sorry.
No, that's fine. Again, it's like the other one. You're just taking one off the list. It's just like,
Yeah.
oh God, this was it's so good. It's very, very good. Adam Driver is great in it, and I'm a Sondheim guy. Oh, if you want another Sondheim musical, you'd probably have to go on YouTube for this, where they play instruments on stage. There's a production of Sweeney Todd where they all play their own productions. Patti LuPone plays Mrs. Lovett. So that's how you can
Whoa.
really find it. And she plays like the French
Tuba?
horn or something.
Yeah,
Tuba, yes, she plays
yeah.
tuba. So something like that. Yeah, big thing.
That sounds crazy.
What
I'd love
what
to
they
see that.
do, so because a lot of the instruments need to be on stage, but then those people get killed, is that when someone gets killed, they put a bloodstained coat on them. So they're still on stage playing, but they're just wearing a bloodstained coat. It's really good. I'll let someone else talk.
No, I love that we got into a little Sondheim tangent, because I love Sondheim. I'm glad there's something Sondheim represented, and that it's not from like a Sondheim movie. It's from a different movie that's just using the themes of Sondheim, because it is such a universal writer. He is such a universal writer that it is one of those things that can transcend other mediums and other films. So I really like this. I have a little bit of a meta existential kind of thematic tie to this song that even is deeper than the surface level of the movie. Something that I think happens toward the end of the movie. It makes this number even more different than it actually is at face value, but I think it's such a beautiful number. He sings it really well. I love how it is one shot as well. They don't cut,
Yes.
he just gets up and sings it like it's a one take, which is impressive on his part, because he got up and just literally just bared his soul, and that was it. He said, okay, cut, we're done. Fantastic. I think it's fantastic. Great pick. I love it. And yeah, like this is a cover 100%, because when I thought of this draft, I added the cover category, because I was like, but then something like Marriage Story needs to be on there. How do you fit that in? Because that's not really a needle drop. He's singing a song.
Yeah.
And then another movie came out last year that did the same exact thing, and I was like, yep, no, okay, this is why this draft in this category exists. So I'm very glad. Yeah, I won't talk more about it, because Matt has a whole video coming out on his channel where I go.
Yeah, stay tuned to Maddie Loves Movies Cinema Soapbox. There's going to be one coming up very soon, probably this Thursday. Now that we've talked about it, to about Marriage Story. It's very good. It's so good, the presentation.
I won't disagree. Jacob, any thoughts on Marriage Story on this song?
Yeah, I'm not as familiar. I haven't seen Marriage Story since it came out. So this one, I'm gonna go back and rewatch it now, because just the way you guys have gushed about it, I mean, I want to go back and check it out. I'm sure you're all right. So yeah,
we are.
Chad, any thoughts on this one?
Yeah, I'm just always impressed with Adam Driver as an actor, and it's just one of those things where just like I love kind of like his story, where he was like in the military, and then he was like using the military to kind of like start like changing things a little bit, where he's like, bringing theater to the troops and stuff like that, like I guess changing it in a way where it doesn't have to be just one thing, and like, kind of like the what Sing Sing does, where it's like, bringing theater to prisoners and having them be able to express themselves in a different kind of way. And so, yeah, well, I watched a TED Talk. That's why I know this. That Adam Driver did. Highly recommend that TED Talk. But
it's still saved on my saved YouTube stuff. I go back to it every once in a while.
Yeah, it's really, really good. And it's just, he always just impresses me. And this is just one of the big examples of what he can do. Like, if he's doing like a theater show, you just know he's gonna nail it. Like, even though he's a movie star now, at post Star Wars and like Noah Baumbach, he's now, I don't know, it's just like one of those guys that can do anything, and it just shows that this sequence is just so impressive in that movie. And yeah,
love it. Cool. All right, well, let's move on now to Jacob. Your second pick. What is it going to be?
Yeah, I'm torn now.
This happens to me a lot. Of like pressure.
You're good, and then when it's your turn, you start second guessing.
Yeah, because no, I'll go with this. I'm gonna go with my big song and dance number, and we never specified that they had to be live action. So, I just can't wait to be king from The Lion King. I think is fantastic. It's so fun. It's colorful. I think it's
great.
I love this. The Lion King is my favorite movie of all time. I absolutely love this movie. It means so much to me as a child and growing up. I watched this thing so much, and this scene, it's almost like what I was saying with Time Warp. If I'm watching The Lion King, I'll probably I could rewind it, watch this scene again. I think it's just so much fun. Yeah, just the back and forth between him and Zazu, I think is fantastic. All the animals that's why when I heard that they were doing a live action, I was like, how are you going to do this in live action? You can't.
They can't. That's the answer.
It's so much fun. It's so good. It was one. I'm surprised this one wasn't also nominated for Best Original Song. We did get 3 Lion King songs. This just
not enough.
Wasn't one of them. We could have had a 4th because this one
they should have expanded the category to 10 and had all Lion King.
Yeah, just all Lion King. I could go back and forth on which soundtrack I like more, Tarzan or Lion King. I think they're both great. I think this is probably my favorite song from The Lion King. I absolutely love it. So yeah, I just can't wait to be king from The Lion King.
Yeah, I think you said it best when, like you said, like, how do you recreate this with live action? You really can't. I mean, like, it is so perfect, not just in the music and the visuals and the color, but just the way the characters move throughout the space is just so well done with animated, with all the characters like jumping on like the giraffes, like lifting up the lions and throwing them in the air, and like you do that in live action, it looks like an animal's gonna get harmed, and then it becomes like a PETA problem, like I think in animated, it's like you can do whatever you want because it's this big, colorful Disney animated musical. Yeah, I love that you went animated with this. That is part of the category too. I mean, like, as long as this is big song and dance number, like, who cares if the animals dancing or animated? I think it's a great pick, and not my favorite from that movie, but like every song in that movie is my favorite. Like, it's one of my favorite movies, as well as you. So I'm glad you picked it. Jacob and I's taste, I'm realizing, is very similar. You picked 2 of my top like 15 favorite movies of all time right now in your 2 picks. So I'm glad. It's a good thing because it makes my job a little easier too to narrow down. But yeah, love it. Just can't wait to be king. Perfect.
This I will say this because I love this. This is great. It absolutely is. In 1945, they nominated 14 songs for Best Original Song.
Wow.
They should have they should have expanded it for Lion King. That's all I'm saying. Anyway, put just the whole soundtrack on the nominations list. But no, this is great. I will say that when I think about this song, I do get a little bit of PTSD because the Sega Genesis version of this movie.
Oh my god!
The just can't wait to be king level.
Yeah.
The
monkeys
will drive children to drink. Like, that's like, I was like, Mom, I'm gonna need some of that rye. Like, I just my mom didn't drink rye, but no, I was it's so hard because like back then you didn't get set checkpoints. You started the
Yeah.
level, and if you failed the level, you started the level over again, and the monkeys are throwing you, and the giraffes keep looking up and knocking you off, and then, oh no, I missed that hippo. How did I miss that hippo? I jumped. Ugh. Anyway, it's a great song. It just gives me a little bit of PTSD.
Love that. That's perfect. Chad, Charles, any thoughts on the Lion
Yeah,
King?
that
Just can't wait to be
yeah
king.
that round in that game is known to be one of the most difficult levels like ever. Oh wait, are we talking about the game or the song? Just kidding.
Yes.
Yes. No, but yeah, this is definitely a great pick. This is one that I always get excited about. I mean, it's just another Elton John written song that just slaps. Yeah, you can't watch this movie without just singing this. It's just one of those songs that's just so fun and just so happy. And like you guys are saying, like the way they do it visually, it's just so fun and phenomenal. So yeah, this was I think if you're gonna pick any song, this is like one of the really big ones to sing. And you talk about like Rowan Atkinson's parts and stuff like that is really funny as well. So yeah.
Love it. Charles, any thoughts on this one?
Yeah, nothing other than I remember I love the Broadway version a lot, and I love the OG in the movie, and I love Elton John's version too. But I listened to the live action one, and it was rough. I don't know what happened with like the direction of the kid, because the kid has a good voice, but like it was like it felt like Simba was a completely different character listening to the live action version, like the tone and everything. It was just so yeah, it was one of the things that like when I heard it, I was just like, I don't think I'm ever going to be able to see the live action version, because if this is how this version sounds, what are the other ones going to sound like? So
Yeah.
but yeah, it's a good pick.
Love that. So some animated representation twice now. 2 Disney Renaissance songs already making it on the list. I love it. But Matt, you are going to continue now. You still have your song and dance, your cover, and some needle drops to get to.
One of them's absolutely Renaissance. I don't know about the other one. Anyway, no. Okay. So, oh geez, I'm gonna do just because. No, actually, I think I'm comfortable with my cover here, because I don't think anybody's gonna take it, but I'm still nervous about I'm still. The other ones are so packed that it hasn't been narrowed down enough. So I'm going to go with my cover here, and I'm going to go with another movie from the the turn of the century, early 1900s, maybe even older, that was covered in a movie that's newer. So when you said this is covering a cover of a song from 1920, I kind of freaked out a little bit, because this was my number one. But it's not. It's from Oh Brother Where Art Thou, and it is I Am the Man of Constant Sorrow.
Oh, that's a great one.
Is my pick for cover. It's not a cover of a popular song today. It's only a popular song today because, similar to Singing in the Rain, it's only a popular song today because it's in that movie. But back then, it was a popular song, and they covered it. The Soggy Bottom Boys covered it in Oh Brother Where Art Thou. Oh Brother Where Art Thou is just one of my favorite movies. It's a comfort movie. I can watch it over and over again. I'm a big Coen Brothers fan, so I can watch any of their movies over and over again. But this one specifically, this is their movie. This is their movie that they made that I could just watch any day of the week, because it's just a comfort movie for me. It's very funny. It's one of the most quotable movies ever made, and it has this great musical number 3 times in the movie. It's very good. I love it.
I've actually never seen this movie. I'm a huge fan of The Odyssey, but I've never seen it. I know I'm gonna watch it before Nolan's comes out, but never seen it. Never heard this song. I probably heard this song, just not in this movie. So very excited to watch it now, especially.
I've also not seen the movie.
Gotcha. Charles,
okay, listen, guys. Dylan has been recommended to Dylan, but it's never been recommended to Jacob by me here. Jacob, you need to watch it if you want a movie that is unbelievably quotable. One of the most quotable movies ever made. You'll find when you watch it. It's also based on Homer's The Odyssey, and if you know anything about that, as you watch it, you're like, oh, there's this. It's not like a faithful adaptation, but you're like, oh, okay, there's a Cyclops, that kind of thing. it's the Coen Brothers. If you like any Coen Brothers movies, it feels exactly like a Coen Brothers movie. It's got that sharp, that witty sharpness to it, and some really great characters. And John Goodman's in it, and we all love John Goodman, right? Right?
Yes.
Right.
Okay. All
No,
right.
I've heard nothing but good things. I will check it out sooner rather than later. But
Charles and Chad, any thoughts on this one?
Yeah, I love this movie, and I love the song. I love the pick. As an English teacher, I have a huge soft spot for movies that like try to update like classic literature and try to make it more modern or engaging. And like I think that's why I have a soft spot for other movies like Romeo plus Juliet. Like I love like ways of like taking original text, keeping it faithful relatively, but like updating it. So I mean, musicals and Broadway does it all the time, but movies, it's wonderful to see. I also love George Clooney in this, and I feel like he is super underrated as a comedic actor. I feel like nowadays, like he gets a lot more props for his directing skills and his dramatic acting, but like he is so much fun to see in this movie, just being goofy. And so yeah, love this movie. Highly recommend it as well.
Hey Charles, you want to come over, have a sleepover?
Sure.
Watch some
Yeah.
good movies. We can
I would love
watch
to.
we can watch 10 Things I Hate About You and Clueless and Oh Brother Where Art Thou and a bunch of movies that are updated versions of classic literature.
I do. See, I
Perfect
do
marathon.
have it, so I will watch it.
Oh,
There it
I do have
is.
it.
Oh,
Hey.
You are 90% of the way there, Jacob. You just have to put that bad boy in. That's
That's all you got to do.
nice.
I'll watch it after we're done.
Chad, thoughts on Oh Brother Where Art Thou?
Yeah, it's a movie that I like. I'm not at love it stage, but I think I've only seen it once, like a while ago. But I will say, like, Matt picking this for like a music draft is perfect because the music is the best part. Like especially Dylan was just telling me that he loves folk music. That's what this is.
Oh,
It's-
yeah.
it's
T-Bone
incredibly
Burnett
folk.
does all the music in it, and it's so good.
Yeah, so it's like, banjos galore, stuff like that. So, some of the best part, like I remember, I can't remember the exact part of the song that you picked, Matt, but like I remember like when the three of them like get on the stage and like rock the house the one time. So I just remember that part being like really incredible.
Yeah, they sing it a few times in the movie. Yeah, it's I recommend to you rewatching it because there's the performances are really good and the dialogue's so good that I've already said this plenty of times. I just need you all to watch it. I just need you all to go to watch it and return to me. Charles doesn't have to. He's already done it. He's already Charles is a teacher's pet right now.
Listen, I will do it. I love it. I love Coen Brothers, so I'm very much looking forward to watching it. Even though my Coen Brothers ranking is like the inverse of everyone else's, but that's why they're so great because all their movies are good except for I think Matt said like one of them is not his favorite, but everything else.
Oh, I don't like Lady Killers, but all the rest I love.
Yeah, I've heard that sentiment shared from a lot of other people. But I am up next. My needle drops. I was like, I'll let you all go and narrow it down. No one's picked one yet, so fuck you guys. Kidding. Love you all, but this is hard. So I'm just gonna pick my cover because Chad and I are the only ones to go, and I know he's not gonna pick this, but I just need things narrowed down at this point. So for cover, I'm gonna go with one of the first movie covers I ever saw. I'm sticking in the animated realm as well as Matt and Jacob were picking something animated because this is, from my estimation, probably the coolest, funniest, best movie cover ever. It is the fairy godmother covering "Holding Out for a Hero" in Shrek 2. I love this movie moment. Because it's just like the fairy godmother, she's the villain, but then she like just strips down to this like red sequin shiny suit and then just like hit it and she's singing on the piano. But meanwhile, while she's singing, there's like this big like action sequence going on with the big gingerbread man and Shrek and Donkey, but Shrek's really man Shrek at that point, and the donkey's like this white steed. So it's like this big epic action set piece set to her just jamming out the Holding On for a Hero. It is a song that is way too needle drop to death in cinema and TV at this point, but this was like my first experience with the song to where I thought it was original from this movie. And I just love just the rendition of it. I think Jennifer Saunders crushes the vocal of it, but just the whole like climax of the movie being set to this, and she's just on the stage singing it, and then it turns into something that is actually a plot device. I think it's fantastic. It's just one of the most fun musical moments. I think also because the Shrek soundtracks, like those two soundtracks next to like the Disney ones, were the two soundtracks that like dominated my life. I had a birthday party when I was like 5 or 6 years old, and it was a Shrek themed birthday party. And for party favors, we made mixtapes of the first and second movie, the best musical needle drops from those. So like it was a soundtrack. It had all, I'm not gonna list off the songs for obvious reasons, but it had all the songs from the first one, all the songs from the second one. And we gave those out as party favors. And I listened to that CD every day, at least 3 times a day. So like I was a huge Shrek soundtrack fan. So this is like one that I just immediately think of. It was between this and another song, which is an original song. But I went with this one because I just think it's a fun movie moment as well because of all the other stuff going on. It's like, it makes it all the more epic to have this song being set to an actual battle sequence, which I think, again, a lot of other movies have now ripped off. Loki ripped it off as well. The fact that like this really badass action sequence is happening while someone's singing Holding Out for a Hero. But I don't know. It's just so perfect for me. And again, I need these needle drops narrowed down. So for now, I will take my cover and hope that even though I know I have the next pick after 2 rounds, so after Chad takes his next 2. So if Chad doesn't narrow it down, then I'm really worried. But right now, I'm going to take my cover there. Holding Out for a Hero, Fairy Godmother, Shrek 2.
The thing about Oh Brother Where Art Thou? No, I'm just kidding. I don't really remember the scene very well. I do remember the scene happening. I just can't like remember the specifics of it. So I do think that is one of those iconic numbers that gets used a lot. And a lot of times, and I've told you this, like a lot of times I feel like, yeah, Holding Out for a Hero feels on the nose, but that's because sometimes it's perfect. You got to. Like, if you don't, it's weird. That's kind of how I feel. Mario Brothers, that they did that. Like, I understand that. I'm gonna go rewatch Shrek 2 if you'll watch A Brother Art Thou, and then we'll meet back up and talk.
I will. It's a deal. I need you to rewatch it because it's the perfect film. If there was one, it's that. In my opinion. Anyone else? Shrek 2, Holding Out for a Hero.
Shrek 2 is so good. The Shrek 1 and 2 soundtracks are super underrated. And like honestly, probably influential for like crafting like a more diverse music taste for a lot of people. It's gonna sound crazy, but sometimes people talk about like the Twilight soundtracks like that too. And the Twilight soundtracks are like super crazy diverse. And like underground, and the Shrek ones were kind of like that too, except for this one. This is probably the most famous song from it. But yeah, 100% Shrek 2 in some ways too. I remember like it didn't feel complete until this scene because it just felt like, I don't know, Shrek 1, it has the moment where, I'm not going to say the song that they sing, but like in the end credits, they have also another performance that Donkey does. And so when this moment happened in Shrek 2 before the credits, I was just like, okay, cool. Like this is fan service, but I love it. Shrek, and also Shrek, isn't Shrek 5 coming out soon?
Mm-hmm.
Shrek
Maybe
5,
like
we got to get ready for Shrek 5. You know, it's going to be the Avengers Endgame of our generation.
Yeah, the Shrek-a-thons. Jacob, as someone else who picked animated, how do you feel about this pick?
I think it's fantastic. I completely forgot about it. So I didn't even think about it when I was making my choices. But it's fantastic. Everything you said about it is spot on. So I think it's a fantastic pick.
Thank you. Chad, thoughts on this one?
Sorry,
Holding
I
Out for a
was
Hero.
thinking Dylan was like cutting out a little bit.
Sorry.
Or maybe it's me. Anyways, Shrek 2, or just like, you guys are hitting it on the nose there. That I think that the Shrek movies are incredible for music. There's so many great needle drops, and I can't list some of my favorites here because that would be pick tipping. But Shrek 2 has one big one that I love. That's not this, but this is a really fun one to pick too, because it like exemplifies, I think, what Shrek does so well is that it's like, it's taking fantastical, like fairy tale like characters and like sort of like modernizing them in a way, and also just making them like funny and just like poking fun at the ridiculousness of the concept and all that. And I think this one like really exemplifies that. I mean, it's just she's doing like, she has her like diva moment where she's just busting out a song and stuff like that. And just like a really really fun sequence. So yeah, this is a good pick.
Because I mean, kind of to Matt's point about time warp, like camp, like villains, especially in animated movies, especially
Yeah.
Disney animated villains, but also in this extent Shrek. This is the camp. This is the like, I'm gonna murder you, I'm gonna trick you all, I'm gonna make you fall in love with my son, the evil prince, but also I'm gonna strip down to a sequin red dress and belt out this number while laying on a piano. Like, I think there's just some camp to that as well. That's really fun. So I'm glad I got to represent it. All righty, Chad. Not to put pressure on you to take the needle drops, but I do need some stuff narrowed down from you.
I was about to say we're all doing that, so like
yeah, we're all like pushing off some of the picks, but you know what? It shows how stacked this draft is. But Chad, pick whatever you'd like. Sorry, but all the covers have been picked. Just to let you know. So you're the only one left to pick a cover.
Yeah, that does make it a little bit difficult because I'm thinking. But here's the thing, though. Is because like normally I'm like, well, I gotta get like the ones that are very narrow and like I only have like a couple that I really want. But like my needle drops, like I have quite a few.
Right.
And there's two that I'm like looking at to pick like for sure. But if like those get stolen, like it's not a big deal. So I'm kind of in the same camp as you guys. Like, if you guys take it, I'll be annoyed, kind of like how Matt was for a second with the time warp. But then it's like, well, I got so many others to pick from. So that's where I'm at with that. But like, even though with people have already gotten their covers, I kind of want to still pick that one now. And then I think I'm going to go with the needle drop for my start of round 3 pick. And then I might do my last pick be a needle drop. And then have the last one round out with my big song and dance number. That might be my plan for all my.
All right.
Do you want to know all of our plans or just Chad's?
I would like the mystery.
Wait for your turn.
No, I always, you know me. I love strategy talk. I love laying out my strategy as everyone goes. All right, Dyl, freaking song. But it's also a good stalling tactic if you can't make up your mind. So
yeah,
what do you think, Chad?
So I am gonna go with my cover, even though I could save it for last. That was kind of like my thought strategy, my thought process. And this one is a funny one, and it's one that when I saw this in the theater, the audience like exploded with laughter. It's like one of the funniest it's funniest like needle drops, but also sung by a character that just like we just died laughing. And ever since, I've had a special this has had a special place for me, not just with me, but with a mutual friend of myself, Charles, and now Dylan, with my buddy James. And I'm picking from 1,000 Miles, sung by Terry Crews and White Chicks.
I do love that.
It is a little bit funny because Matt and Dylan and I had a Framewreck this episode where it's kind of like picture this and Framewreck combined, where we like do like a year of the Razzies. And we talked about White Chicks, and it was funny because I think Matt just hates that movie.
I hate it so much.
But Dylan and I kind of had like a little bit of an appreciation for a good amount of it. I think Dylan likes it more than I do, actually. But this moment, when I saw it in the theaters, like I think the movie's just kind of dumb, but just funny and fun at times. But this moment is just because I didn't even know who Terry Crews was. I'd never seen like Brooklyn Nine-Nine, so I just didn't know like this guy, and he's funny and stuff, but he looks intimidating, just like this big dude with muscles. And then it's just one of those scenes where he gets in the car with him dressed as a white chick. And so he thinks that he's a white chick. So then she's like, oh, well, he's like, I guess I'm going to play this. It's going to confuse him and like maybe annoy him. And he'll put on something harder or something like that. And he surprises him by going, I love this song. How'd you know? And then he starts singing it. And it's just like seeing Terry Crews sing 1,000 Miles is just one of the funniest things ever. It's so surprising in the movie when it happens because it's just like juxtaposed, like him singing this is just so crazy, but like really fun too. And it's just a really fun sequence in the movie. And so now when he does the I do that with my buddy James all the time now. That song comes on. Charles, you've probably seen us do it.
Oh, 100%.
When it comes on, it's like we just like look at each other. It's just the best thing in the world. So, and if other people want to use that, that's fine because it's a really fun.
He sings along, right? He actually sings. He doesn't.
He does
He
sing.
actually sings, yeah.
So it is a cover. Because I was gonna say I thought it was just a needle drop, but then I'm like, no, he does sing along. So
He does.
It's a teeter, but it works.
Let me just speak so that everybody else can have a love picnic with this, and so let me just get mine out of the way. I do hate this movie. I will say that this is probably the best part. It's the part I remember most. When he does the, that's always fun. I mean, that's funny enough. I just think that I just don't like this movie, so it's hard for me to appreciate it. But it's a great pick because you love it, and so I'm going to stop talking and I'm going to let other people talk about it.
No, I mean I talked about it ad nauseum with you too on that episode, so y'all can check it out. But yeah, I love this movie, love this pick, love Terry Crews, love that he hosts America's Got Talent now, love him. Great pick, love it. It's perfect. Jacob, any thoughts on this one?
I think this is a terrible movie. However, I do love this moment. I think this is fun. I think it's a bright spot in the movie. So not a cover I was expecting to get picked today, but I don't hate it. It's just I'm just not a fan of the movie, but I'm glad people can get enjoyment out of it.
Jacob, you can come over with me and Charles and have a sleepover. Bring Oh Brother Where Art Thou? We'll watch it together.
Oh, that's great. Charles, you've seen firsthand this Chad James interaction. How do you feel about this pick and that moment?
Yeah, no, I'm really thankful for this movie. I know that sounds crazy to say, but I'm a big fan of Terry Crews. He's amazing in Brooklyn Nine-Nine. He's honestly sometimes quite frequently the best part of like the comedy movie he shows up in. He plays such a lot of people say he gets typecast, but it couldn't be further from the truth. Like all of his characters are just completely off the wall insane. And so yeah, I'm thankful for this because I do feel like if he didn't have this moment, I don't think his career would have blown up the way it did. And White Chicks, I'm now thinking, was it supposed to be a remake of Some Like It Hot? Like is because there's a lot of similarities.
It was maybe a riff on that template, but
because like even
Billy Wilder and White Chicks out of the same
okay, let me make a short, quick case for this because there are some similarities. The going undercover to investigate something, you're dressing in a different sort of, not necessarily drag, but a kind of a race drag, if that could be seen as. And then there's someone that helps them out, like a Terry Crews character in both of them, that actually is like kind of interested in dating them. Those are two similarities.
I reject your premise.
I think Matt has just invited Charles from the sleepover.
No, he still gets to come. He has to sleep on the floor.
Oh gosh. But yeah, no, great pick. It's iconic, and it makes sense, Chad, that you picked it because it's still something that comes up today.
I love it. Yeah, the guy I call my musical expert friend picking White Chicks second pick in the draft of a needle drops in all of cinema draft. Not what I expected,
Incredible.
but I am very, very happy for this moment.
It's what the people wanted.
Judy Garland, Terry Crews. All right, Chad, you get to continue now with either your song and dance number or one of your two needle drops.
If this had just been needle drop draft where you just pick any needle drops, yes, I probably wouldn't have picked that because of the cover category. I thought of it and then I was like, that's going to be a really fun one to pick. So I did. Yes.
What a great last pick that would have been. I can't believe you did that as your second pick.
Hey, listen. Yeah. Tom Brady was in the last round of the draft too. So
I don't know exactly why I picked it second. I think it's just because I don't know. I think it's because of the same thing you guys are talking about. Like, maybe like I feel like a lot of my other picks are safe. And that like maybe like you guys can like help me whittle things down because I don't know if I'm doing the right thing. But I am gonna do something here. I don't know, it's a lot of the times I feel like my needle drops are like, of course he would pick that kind of a thing. And so I just don't know if it's like, am I good at this, or am I just like, being, I don't know if you guys know what I'm talking, like cliche
I mean,
kind of.
there's a reason a basic choice is basic. It's because it's usually a good choice. So
Yeah, that's a good point. So I am gonna go with this one, which is the song "Don't Stop Me Now" from Shaun of the Dead.
yep,
think
knew
people
you were gonna
probably
pick it.
were
It's a great
Of
one.
course.
thinking I was gonna pick this, of course.
This is your needle drop, right?
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's
Yeah,
one of my
yeah.
2 needle drops. Yes.
It's a good one.
I love this movie. This is just like one of my big movies that I just love and talk about all the time. And and that's kind of like where I kind of approach this, because I was like, well, I can pick something from, like that's a great needle drop from a movie I don't really like love or care about all that much. I could do that, but why not go with the more personal ones? And it feels like that's what people in this draft have been doing so far, anyways. So, I decided to go with this one because it's just so used so well in the movie. It's kind of a subversion or whatever, because it's like it's a fun song that's happened a very horrific uh thing. It's a very like serious time where people are freaking out, and like they just found out that they're not as safe as they thought they were, and so there's a lot of action going on. Like the guy who runs the bar is zombified and comes out and starts attacking them, and you have what's his face in the David in the back room doing the light show. It turns into a light show because he's trying to figure out how to cut like the breaker lights on and stuff like that. And so you got like so many great elements that come together to just make this into like a really like an unintentional show, like fun, like number that's going on. So it's I guess this could also be a song and dance number because they are like reacting to it. Maybe not.
Yeah.
Because
They're
it
not
is,
singing, though.
yeah, true. They're not singing, so it wouldn't be. But yeah, it is a perfect needle drop because of that. Because like they're hitting him with the pull cue, and that's synchronized to the
Kill the queen.
kill the queen. Takes out the jukebox. Yeah, it's the pull cues hitting the zombie are synchronized to the music, and that would play later in another Edgar Wright film that comes up. Like he loves to do this kind of stuff because you know how he is so precise with his editing, and just how everything is set up and shot. It's just so precise and perfect, and that's what this is. And not only that, but like this gave like a resurgence to the song and Queen as well. Which I think is really great. So it's different movies at different eras, researching different Queen songs. I think is really really cool. And I don't know. It's just a brilliant song used in a horror movie that I love, and this movie is just so special to me. So I feel like I had to pick this, and I wanted it like right there in center. So,
This is the third movie taken off, or third song taken off of my list.
there you go.
Dang.
Because
I got a star from that.
yeah,
He's like Steve
Um,
Buscemi with the lipstick.
yeah, no, it's I do mark them out in red on my file on my spreadsheet when
And then he
I do
puts
that.
the
But
lipstick in.
the yeah, Queen is one of my top 3 favorite bands. Might be my favorite band of all time. I love Queen. I also love this movie. It's probably my favorite. I think it's the best horror comedy movie ever made. I think probably. So this was definitely high on my list. I definitely would have picked this if it had still been there. And I don't. It's so hard. I'm glad you did it because I was waiting for you to whittle some of these down because there's so many that I love. But I'm glad it is represented, and I'm glad it's represented by you who loves this movie as much as I do. So there we are.
Yeah,
Love
I had
it.
17 movies on my list. This was on there, so it did narrow it down to 16. So thank you. Yeah, it's phenomenal. It's one that's talked about a lot, but because it's great, and it deserves a spot on this 25 for sure. So I'm happy you did it. Love it. Charles, thoughts on this needle drop?
Yeah, I love Shaun of the Dead, and honestly, when I was thinking about doing the song draft, I remember Quentin Tarantino was thrown out as like a really great director for needle drops, but I honestly, Edgar Wright, I think, deserves to be talked about in the same conversation with Quentin Tarantino. He is super good at needle drops in all of his movies, and Shaun of the Dead is extremely iconic for not even just that Queen song, but most of that soundtrack is pretty wonderful. So yeah, Edgar Wright, big fan, and also love the music video that he later turned into an actual movie. But the original music video with Noel Fielding is amazing too. So yeah, Edgar Wright's awesome.
Yeah, Baby Driver is basically a needle drop, a needle drop list that he made into a movie.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right, Jacob. Any thoughts on this one?
I'll just keep it short and sweet. Yeah, I agree with everything that's been said. This is actually my favorite Queen song. So
Nice.
I love it.
I-
too,
glad we
yeah.
picked
I might
that one.
agree. Okay, I'm up next, and this is very interesting because there's two segues I can make here. I think I figured out what I want my needle drops to be. One of them is another Queen song, and one of them
Okay.
is the other master of needle drops, Tarantino. So do I want to go? Which one do I think is going to get snagged? Is the question. So I'm reading everyone's faces here. Another Queen song, Meh,
We probably know what that one is.
or a Tarantino.
I will say I only put one Queen song on my list, even though I
Okay,
love
but I'm-
Queen.
Ugh.
I was narrowing it down, and he
Okay.
took it. So
There's one that I think is more, one that I love a little bit more, but I
Oh,
think is safe.
shit, no, I had two Queen songs. It might be on there. I just
All right, I'm
realized I
picking the
have a
Queen
second
song then.
Queen
Thank
song.
you for that. That's the psychological game I like to play. There's a movie that came out recently that just destroyed me with its needle drops.
I
There's
had three
two-
Queen songs because
There's
I also have this on
two-
my list.
There's
Sorry.
two great needle drops in that movie. One is a karaoke scene, but the other one is the one I'm going to pick, which is Under Pressure from After Sun. This
Oh
movie,
yeah.
this movie absolutely destroyed me, and it's this needle drop that does so. I mean, if anyone doesn't know what it is listening, it is the story about this guy who takes his daughter on vacation with him, and it's all about his mental illness and depression, but it's seen through her eyes. And the final scene, without spoiling much of the details of what happens, is this dance scene in this club where like a bunch of people are like dancing to Under Pressure, and it's her and her father in the center of this club, but it's now her older kind of interacting with her father as the lights are blaring and flashing, and she's trying to get to her father, and it's repeats the phrase, "This is our last dance, this is our last dance, this is our last dance." And I was sobbing in the theater. Like, I was unconsolable.
You're about to make
it
me
was
cry right now.
it was so fantastic, and just the way it builds in the song, and it's a little bit of a remix. They kind of finagle a little bit with the pattern, the ABC pattern, and it's just so it's one that like I have like a pit in my throat and stomach talking about. It's one of those movies that if you haven't seen it, it's a little bit of a slow burn. It's a little bit more just kind of living in the moment. There's not really a lot of story to it, but it's one of those things where it's all theme and all like kind of this personal reflection. Also because this is a woman who would grow up to have her own mental illness problems, and seeing how it's mirrored and how she could have seen the signs, but she couldn't really see the signs because she was a kid, and she's trying to kind of come to terms with what it was, but only having the memories to pull on from, not being able to actually speak with her father and ask him what was going on, but kind of just reflect in her memory about what was going on with her dad. And this moment, this song, the scene is just, it's one that even if you don't love the movie, this moment will get you, because it is just so well constructed, so well choreographed, so well blocked and staged and shot and edited. It is for me the greatest. It's either this or the David Lynch scene in Fablemans as the greatest scene of the 2020s. I think this might be it for me.
Wow.
I know I'm probably.
R.I.P. Lynch.
I was gonna say I'm kind of forgetting a few big ones. I think, and probably because they both came out in the same year. It's why those are the two on my brain. But like, I think this might be the scene of the century. So I don't know. I'm overhyping it, but I love this movie, and I figured if any of these two that I really want is gonna go, I thought there was a chance Matt could snag this one, so I decided to take it now. I think the other one's safe on the wraparound. I wanted everyone to narrow down my needle drops, but now I'm like, no, I know which two I want. Now I need to get them, and now I'm nervous that I am going to get them whittled down. But that's how it works. That's the game. Regrets and regrets, but that's going to be my pick. Under Pressure by Queen in After Sun.
Okay.
Matt.
So when I was like, I only have one Queen, thing on my list. I wasn't looking at my list, which is very long, and so that's why I forgot. But I did have 3 Queen songs on there, and this is one of them. The other song that is Needle Drop in this movie is by my other favorite band, REM. Which I'm not going to say what it is, but so this
Also
was
on my list.
yeah. So mine too. So this movie just had some great needle drops for me. And if you haven't seen it, Frankie Corio gives one of the best child performances of all time. She's just incredible in this movie. But you almost made me cry just talking about this movie. Watching it in real time, I was a mess, and it's an incredible needle drop. It's a great movie. If you haven't seen it, go watch it. That's all I have to say.
It's definitely underseen. It still hasn't kind of gotten the cultural. It hasn't made its way to the cultural osmosis yet, but I hope it does with time. Like so many indies do.
Well, and there's another movie that just happened at Sundance, which I think is going to be big when it's released to the public, that people are going to compare to After Sun, and I think I hope that gets more eyes on After Sun.
Yeah,
so.
there's actually like 2. I know which one you're talking about too, but there's also another one that I also got vibes of After Sun. I think After Sun. I think that shows its influence that a lot of people are now making movies about fathers through children's eyes in movies. Like there's another one that Chad and I watched that was similar to that as well, of a kid reflecting on this time that could have been spent with a father, maybe it was spent with a father, but yeah, like those types of movies where it's I love that child perspective. It's something Spielberg nails as well with like E.T. and stuff too. But
can we not just say the name of the movie?
I mean, Suck Island and Omaha are both going to be the same movies that are going to.
Omaha's the one that I saw. If you want to see my review of it, go watch. I would go to Maddie Loves Movies and watch my
Anyway, After Sun. Have you guys seen this one, Charles, Chad, Jacob?
Yeah.
Chad, you go.
Yeah. I saw it. I also saw it in the theater. I saw it down at the AFI theater in Silver Spring, where I saw The Brutalist in 70 millimeter. But yeah. This is definitely like a special movie. I liked how it was filmed, and I love kind of like slice of life movies. But yeah, this is one that I think it took me a little bit to like realize what was actually going on in the movie. So I don't know if like this actual sequence hit me that hard, but I feel like on rewatch it definitely would, because it was kind of hitting me and like remembering the sequence when Dylan was explaining and just thinking about that, like the last time you spend with someone, like of course that just like thinking about that, it's just so deadening inside. And so I totally get that. I didn't remember specifically. I remember the sequence, but I don't remember specifically it being that song. So now I'm excited to go back, rewatch it, and check it out, because I did get it. I think that's one of the A24, like big A24 editions that I got.
Oh, cool. Nice.
Yeah, special edition.
Nice. Yeah, they do a good job with their packaging. I love it.
Yeah.
Charles, have you seen this one?
I have not, but I have a lot to say for this one. I want to see this one because Chad's recommended it to me, and now your kind of description of the ending and the song, it gives me like Richard Linklater vibes as well, of just like having a lot of like, even the structure of the movie, it sounds almost like it's kind of similar to Before Sunrise and Before Sunset, of like just mostly disconnected like dialogue scenes or hanging out, and it's like a hangout movie, but then like there's stuff with like regret and like growing up and decisions, and so it sounds awesome. So I gotta watch it, stat. But I also thought of a couple of other things. Matt, I love that REM is one of your favorite bands. Chad probably knows I was going to say something about that, because I've been on a huge REM binge, and REM has always been in my top 5. Like Radiohead's probably my number 1, but REM, I love. They aren't needle drop that much, but when they do, they hit. And this also has another tangent. We were talking about Rocky Horror Picture Show, and if you're a fan of REM, I don't know if you've seen the video, but someone found it on YouTube, and it's Michael Stipe before he became famous on REM. He's dressed in drag, going to a Rocky Horror Picture Show showing, and he's being interviewed by the local news. And the local news anchor is just like, "What do you think of all these people that are dressed up in scandalous clothing and men dressing as women?" And then Michael Stipe is just like, "I think it's great, and I think all of you blah blah blah." And he just like goes ham on the. And I'm just like, man, like that. I love that Michael Stipe has not changed one iota. He has like stayed consistent, like rebel, like. So highly recommend you see that.
Nice.
I will go watch that as soon as we're done. Yeah,
It's great.
I should have known that Charles would actually. That's why I've recommended to him, because like he's a big. Like he once told me, like, you know, I was like, this movie will make you be in like the fetal position. He's like, that's my shit. That's
Yeah, I love that.
That's my shit too.
And I also wanted to add real quick. There was a 2024 movie that had a pretty good Under Pressure needle drop as well.
I can't remember what it is right now, so I'll have to wait till honorable mentions if it's on that list. But I don't know.
Oh,
Is anyone else going to pick an Under Pressure one?
well, if I can think of it, maybe I will. So let's just hold on.
Yeah,
All
we'll
right.
save it for later.
I'll put it on there.
Jacob, any thoughts on this one?
I haven't seen the movie. I've heard good things about it. It's on my watch list. I did sneak a peek at the soundtrack, and there's a few songs on it that I'm like, oh, I like that song. I wonder how they use it in the movie.
Well, during our sleepover is going to have to be a long weekend now, Charles and Jacob. So we're going to watch this stuff. We're going to listen to some music. I don't know if you guys like the Mountain Goats, but that's my third favorite band. So we're just going to have a music listening session and to watch some good movies.
All right, I love it. Well, Matt, you are up next. I hope we narrowed it down a little bit for you, maybe. If not, you still have your song and dance number eligible.
Oh, damn. Okay. I'm saving song and dance because that one is the smallest list that I have after I revamped it, and I'm gonna let that whittle down. I'm just gonna go ahead and go. Oh shit. Okay, so there's one that I know is on lists, but I don't think any of you guys are gonna pick it, and there's one that I think might get picked if people think about it. That because I think I'm just gonna have to look at my top two that I have written here, even though I have a huge list. The one I'll be most crushed if I don't get is the one I'm going to have to take here.
Okay.
Even though I don't think any of you guys are going to take it, but if it happens, I'll be most crushed, which is my favorite needle drop of all time, which is from the movie Trainspotting, Perfect Day by Lou Reed.
Ooh, love that song.
And if you haven't seen Trainspotting, it's a moment where he because the movie is about heroin addiction and it's kind of it's interesting because it's by Danny Boyle, who is just a fantastic filmmaker. If you've ever seen anything by Danny Boyle, but it's by Danny Boyle, and basically this movie is about a group of heroin junkies and their struggle to kind of get right, but also like if they're near each other, they kind of go back to their old ways, and it's that classic type of story of addiction. But he's been off it for a while, and then so he goes back and does it for the first time in a long time and overdoses. And at the moment that he overdoses, he falls backwards into his rug and slips down under the ground through his rug. His rug starts going down, and that Perfect Day by Lou Reed starts playing. It's a perfect moment in film. It's my favorite scene in film. It's so good. And then as the song plays, he's like being rushed to the hospital. But when it goes back to his perspective, you can still see the sides of the rug sticking straight up from where he slipped into the ground.
It's
even
like
though
you get
he's
out
like on the
sunk
gurney.
in place kind
Yes.
of image. Yeah.
So it's like it's that kind of thing. So it's my favorite moment in film of all time. It's my favorite needle drop. It stuck with me for so long. I went through a phase where I watched a lot of drug movies, and this is my. I mean, it's just there's a lot of really great drug movies out there. And especially if there's two types of drug movies. The type of drug movie that the person who made it was also doing those drugs, and those are always great. And the type of drug movie where the person's like, don't ever take this drug, and those are almost always great unless they're a little bit too preachy. If they feel like they're lived, but they're also saying trust me, don't do this. Those are also always great. But this is my favorite drug movie. This is my favorite moment in film, I think. And this is my favorite needle drop. Perfect Day, Lou Reed, Trainspotting.
Yeah, and it's so influential because you see it mirrored, as we just said, with Get Out has a similar device. Toy Story 2 has a similar device where he's falling through the deck of cards. And Loki even season 2 had some visual stuff with Sylvie similar to that too, where it's like the music and the world slipping away. But I think it's perfect. Great needle drop. This is probably my favorite Danny Boyle film. I'm not as much a fan as Matt is of his movies, so like when it hits, it hits. So this is one of my favorites of his. So I love this pick. Jacob, any thoughts on Trainspotting?
Yeah, I've only seen the movie once, but yeah, I didn't know the name of the song, so thank you for that. But I do remember the moment, and you explained it perfectly. I think it's great. So another one that I need to give a rewatch too. So maybe we can watch that at our sleepover.
Yeah, bring it over.
just don't partake in the drug itself while you're doing it.
No, absolutely
not to be. What was the thing? Don't try this at home, kids. Who are watching this. So Celine Dion, put your kids away before, or let them know, because I know she's still watching. Charles, any thoughts on this one?
Yeah, I have so much to say about this one. I love this pick. There are so many songs from this soundtrack that could be picked. I think the soundtrack is also like, I can see it being on a top 10 for like just exposing people to like folk music, indie music, EDM music, just crazy. I also remember, I think I watched the behind the scenes like video about that shot, and I think they did it all practical, like somehow, which like if I'm remembering, like Ewan McGregor actually like falls through something and then they like catch him and then they're doing like a one shot. I have to look it up again, but it was amazing. But I love this movie. When I think of anti-drug movies, like anti-drug movies that are like, they really like do a great job of nailing don't do drugs, there's a spectrum. Requiem for a Dream is all the way over here in like terms of like, you may only want to watch this one time, and like if you watch it more, it's going to hurt you each time you watch it. And then on the other side is Trainspotting. I think both of them do such a good job of being like, don't do drugs, but Trainspotting is infinitely rewatchable because of that soundtrack. It's so good, but it also like it hammers home the message without depressing you. Like it's just Trainspotting. I have such respect for. It's not my favorite Danny Boyle film. It's Chad probably knows what it is, but it's Sunshine. I love that movie to death.
I love Sunshine.
I will fight anyone on that movie to the death. To the death. I don't care any complaints about the third act. That movie's a masterpiece.
It's
but yeah, the soundtrack in that one is amazing too, and some of the artists that were on this soundtrack would later like orchestrate most of the Sunshine soundtrack. So if it wasn't for Trainspotting, I don't know if Sunshine hits the way I love it. So yeah, love this pick.
Danny Boyle, really the guy, like the modern music needle drop. I don't want to say king, because you also have Tarantino, you have Scorsese, you have Edgar Wright, but like, I mean, he makes a whole, all these great needle drops, and then
100%.
literally wins a best song for an original Bollywood song, and then also makes a whole movie. He couldn't think of what else to do next, so he made a whole movie of guys just covering Beatles songs.
Yeah.
Like he loves music and film, and I think he's such a good curator of those songs as well. So
if you want an underrated Danny Boyle joint, go watch the opening ceremony of the London Olympics, because he directed that.
I forgot about that.
Incredible.
I forgot. That's cool.
Yeah, Chad, thoughts on the Trainspotting needle drop? Perfect Day.
Well, first, Dylan was like throwing out a bunch of names. Also, Cameron Crowe.
Yeah.
Oh,
No,
yeah. Cameron
Yeah.
Crowe.
I don't think Cameron Crowe. I don't
He might
remember
show
last
up
time.
later.
Last movie he made was like Aloha. I'm talking like filmmakers still making movies like this decade. I said modern needle drop kings of this decade. But
Yeah, I haven't seen Trainspotting. I feel like on one hand it might be a movie that I really, really like, and then on another hand it might not be, for different reasons. So I just want to check it out soon so I can actually find out if it's one that I've been like, where has this been all my life, or one that I go just not my speed. But I did check out this some of the sequence on YouTube while we were doing this, because I want to be able to talk about it, because I was really interested in the shots, and I did think it was like really interesting, like how it was shot and stuff like that, from the different like perspectives and the practical effects and whatnot. I do really love this song too. I have Transformer on vinyl. So I like Lou Reed and the Velvet Underground and stuff like that. So
Yeah.
I think this is kind of like a perfect combination. So
Love it.
great
Nice.
pick. Yeah.
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 I wanted to say, Chad, even though we have been recommending, I will say, depending on how you feel, I might wait to see Train Spotting for a little while, because it definitely has some like baby related.
the
I
baby
was about to
thing, yeah.
say. I was just about to say. I think
would-
you'll like the movie when you see a baby. Fast forward.
Yeah,
That's really
that
awesome.
stuff
So-
is that stuff is tough if it's a trigger for you.
I also haven't gone back to watch Mother. Since
Oh,
I
God,
had
no.
a child.
Yeah, no.
So
Do not do
I-
that.
Oh,
yeah.
speaking of child,
Okay, all right, perfect segue. To Chad turn off his mic. Not perfect segue to Jacob. I don't know how that segues to Jacob, but Jacob, you are next. What would you like next? Hey, Elliot, what's up?
Yeah, I think I'll go with my best original song winner, because I just don't feel right saving it till the end, because I don't think he's a fourth or fifth round level of talent. He's my favorite artist of all time. I'm a big fan of rap and hip hop, so I'm gonna go with "Lose Yourself" by Eminem
Perfect.
from
on
8
my
Mile.
Nice.
I love this song. I think it might be my favorite Eminem song. There's a couple that I float between. I think it sums up the movie perfectly. I think it sums up Eminem perfectly. And just from that opening of the beat, and then his opening little monologue there into it's still quoted today. There's a YouTuber I watch that anytime they're down to like one shot, like they reference if one shot Mom Spaghetti, like they reference that. I love the fact that he opened up a restaurant called Mom Spaghetti. I think that is fantastic. I just like my top two choices were the two rap / hip hop winners. So I don't think the other one's gonna get picked, but I won't say it just in case. But yeah, the first rap song to win best original song, I think it's fantastic. I think lyrically it's one of his best. The beat is fantastic. It's one of those songs too that like it can get you hyped up. It's not like
Yeah.
the beat isn't one of those thumping, like get you hyped up for whatever reason. Like it just has that vibe to it. I love this song. I can't tell you how many times I've listened to it. It's probably on daily rotation. I think it's fantastic.
did Jacob just pick "Lose Yourself"?
Yeah.
Mhm.
hmm
I knew he was gonna do that. I told you guys that I knew it. I know how much he loves Eminem.
Yeah.
Um,
This was. Sorry. Go ahead.
I was just gonna like continue just real quick on and my thoughts real quick. This was a sensation when it came out. But for some reason, I guess because it was the first one, Eminem didn't ever think that it would win, so he didn't show up. Which is a
Classic
story.
Eminem.
Classic. And so I believe he performed it later at a different
yeah,
time.
like a few
It
years
was
ago
like
too.
20 years later.
Yeah.
That's so
And
cool.
which is awesome. But yeah, this is just one of those great hip hop songs. It encapsulates that movie so well. So much so that I was doing like a best original song like listen through, where I was just like listening to like all of them, trying to like do like a ranking of like what are the best ones. This is a top tier. This is
Yeah.
one of the best ones. So it was definitely on my list, and I'm glad it's represented here. And I knew Jacob was going to do it, so I'm very very excited about that. It's a banger, dude.
When it was done at the Oscars again, the other last year before, something like that.
Yeah.
It was. I remember I was sitting there watching, and they were going through this medley of past winners, and I was like, and at some point, it feels like they're getting to the end, and I'm like, and they don't do "Lose Yourself." What? How does that make it? Like it was baffling to me. I was like, how are they not doing "Lose Yourself"? maybe Eminem didn't want to do it, and then at the very end, Eminem like comes out of the stage or something like that. I don't remember how it worked, but in my mind, it was like a grand entrance, and suddenly they're doing "Lose Yourself," and it was awesome. Yeah, this song's great. Who else? Do other people need to pick their original song still?
Just Charles.
Just Charles. Charles,
Just
are you going to
me.
pick a rap song? Maybe. Okay, we're going. We'll move on. No, that's fine. I had an anecdote about the other one, but I will save it till later. But no, this it's a great song. It's wonderful. It's on my list, and it's a quality pick.
Love it. Charles.
Yeah, love this song. As an English major, I love it when things become canon. Like just it will never really, I think, leave culture, and I think this is a song that will just kind of be permanent in like rap culture, but also movie culture. It's an incredible it's one of my favorite climaxes to a music biopic ever. And as a hot take, I might say honestly I would have been happy if this movie won Best Actor and Best Supporting Actress. I feel like Eminem is like super underrated as a naturalist actor. Like I don't know how he does it with like no acting experience, but he's amazing in that movie. And he somehow sells. It's hard to act as yourself in a biopic. Basically, I don't think it's really done very well by most people. The Beatles maybe are one that I might say are really good in music biopics, and Eminem. And I think it's really hard for me to think of anyone else that's really good at like being naturally themselves, but like selling you their earlier version of themselves. It's just, it's tough. So, and Brittany Murphy is amazing in this movie too. So
I was about to ask,
it.
when you say supporting actress, do you mean Kim Basinger or Brittany Murphy?
Brittany Murphy, although Kim Basinger
I would have gone
amazing.
to Kim Basinger on that one, but
she is amazing. Yeah, I think I just have a soft spot because I think this is one of Brittany Murphy's last roles. I think, but yeah.
Nice. Yeah, I haven't seen the movie, shockingly enough, but obviously I love, I had to do a lot of, for those who don't know, I filmed a movie in Detroit, and it was about the music scene in Detroit in the 90s. So a lot of, Eminem was a big focus of a lot of the research going in, but it was a lot of like researching actual clips and the dialogue and news interviews more so than watching the movie. I should have watched the movie in prep for it, but I also had to watch a lot of other stuff like Jack White stuff and other White Stripes, all that stuff. So it's definitely someone I want to get around to watching. But the song, I know the song, I love the song. It is a fantastic pick. It was on my list. I don't know how it could not be. So it's a really great list, or a really great song. Really great list so far. I mean, we're killing it. But I'm glad we have representation for rap on here too, because aside from, I think actually there's 2 other original song winners, but there really aren't a lot to choose from. The rap is not as common needle drop unless you're looking for a very specific genre. Sometimes I feel like sometimes you get in action films or sometimes like dramas that focus on certain urban neighborhoods and stuff, but I wish there was more rap in movie needle drops.
I forgot that the more recent one is rap, because I always think of it as more R&B.
Yeah, it's one of those. It's one of those like someone sings and someone raps as well. So it's a little bit of a hybrid, not a full-fledged rap song, but also on my honorable mentions. So we'll talk about it later. But Charles, you are up next. You can take your original song, but you are the last to do so. So you're also welcome to dip from your needle drops. You will also get 2 in a row here. So
yeah, I'm gonna do needle drops. I'm gonna save original song for last. I'm trying to be strategic here.
Yeah, I love it.
But also, like, hot take, I feel like original song, like in Oscar history, like the older ones, I feel like are on point. And I feel like in the last 15 years or 20 years, I feel like only like maybe half of them, maybe less, were actually like a great song. And then the others were like, I don't know. Some of the picks recently are wild. I still have nightmares about Writing on the Wall winning best song. I was just like, oh my God, it's not even the best like Bond song that came out that year. But anyways, whatever. So I'll go into needle drops, and this was super tough because needle drops I feel like is the most expansive. I'm glad that we get to pick 2, but there's so many, and I decided to go with more personal, but ones that I do think are relatively big. And I think my first one, although you might not recognize the song title or the artist, you'll probably recognize the moment it drops. So the first needle drop I'm going to pick is Ooh La La by The Faces. It's from the end of Rushmore.
Ooh.
It's the song at the very, I think it's the best needle drop in like movie history. And Wes Anderson is great at picking out music, but this song is iconic. And at the time, I don't think many people knew about this song because it was like a really old 70s song by, for instance, I don't know many people that know about a band, The Faces. I certainly didn't before I watched the movie. And the song is perfectly like thematic of the entire movie, but it also feels like it captures the melancholic joy that the movie ends on, because the movie ends in a way where relatively no one got what they wanted. Everyone kind of failed in some way or embarrassed themselves, but like everyone does come away at the end of the movie learning something and becoming a better person. And it's such a good movie about capturing how like how when you're an adult you're supposed to be like all knowing and wise and smart and everything you do is correct, and then when you're a kid you're supposed to look up to these adults. But Rushmore is all about how the adults in our lives are honestly sometimes as messed up as the kids in our lives, and we shouldn't necessarily be looking up to adults. We should find our own path in some ways. So yeah, Rushmore is amazing, and the moment that this song drops and everybody goes slow motion, and Jason Schwartzman goes back with I can't remember the actress's name. They're hand in hand and they're about to dance. It's just perfect. It's beautiful, and I think a lot of the times Wes Anderson tries to recreate this with other soundtracks, but I just think he just nails it in this one. And honestly, I wouldn't be surprised if other people have more needle drops from Rushmore, because it was really hard for me to pick just one. There's amazing montage needle drops in this song, but I had to go with Ooh La La by The Faces for my pick.
I love Wes Anderson's needle drops, and I actually didn't have anything from Rushmore, but only because I haven't seen Rushmore in so long that it's not in my brain. But I have one from Royal Tenenbaums that I love as well. So I just think he's a really good needle dropper. He does a really great job in his music, and I'm excited to rewatch this one now and like actually like absorb the music of it all, because I watched this one I think right out of high school or before college, like early, and I just couldn't I couldn't point out specific moments right now. I need to rewatch this one. I loved this one when I saw it. I definitely want to rewatch. So yeah,
this was on my list, and you're right. Like who knows what Faces is, and I don't, except for from this movie. But it's a great moment, and I think I didn't think it's not like at the top of my list, so I don't know that I would have picked it unless it came to that. But I didn't expect anybody else to pick it, so I was like, all right, so that's great. So yeah, that's great.
Nice. Chad, any thoughts? Or Jacob? Sorry, Jacob.
I was just gonna say I haven't seen the movie, so
Gotcha.
I don't even know who that band is.
You're good. Yeah, I gotta look up the faces now. Chad and Elliot, those faces over there.
Barber, I'm pretty sure you've 100% heard this song. It's one of those songs that you just kind of know. Ooh La La. But yeah, I definitely also had this on my list. And I think it's like one of the greatest like movie endings. It's just so perfect, dude.
Yeah.
It's like it hits, it like culminates in like everything that movie's building up to in this one song, this one dance. And it's just shot so well, done so well. I love the song. I mean, this is my favorite Wes Anderson movie. So, and that needle drop in that moment's one of the big reasons. I just think it's so freaking perfect. Crying baby, that means I'll stop talking now.
It's funny because I was like, I don't think anybody will pick that, but half of you had it on had it on your list. So
I've seen it. I admittedly did a little research for this and saw it on a lot of lists, but I was like, I haven't. And even like going to watch some scenes, it's like I need the context of the movie to really like hit the needle drop. But this is one I was meaning to watch for this, but just didn't get around to it. But I have seen it, so I've definitely experienced it. It's just not on my top of my head. But a great pick. I'm glad some Wes Anderson. Again, there's a lot of directors where I feel like they need to just be represented on this board in some way. So Wes Anderson's one of them. Edgar Wright's another one. I will be doing a Tarantino one next. So I'm glad some of those heavy hitters are going. Danny Boyle as well. And Eminem. There we go. Charles, you do get another pick right now, though. So what is you going to pick for your other one?
Yeah, and I wanted to also say that like an underrated part of my pick is that like I do really appreciate it when movies give you a heads up that it's ending. but it gives you time before it actually ends. I don't like it when movies just like cut to like hard credits, like, and you just don't get any time. But in Rushmore, you just get this beautiful, perfect song. It's slow motion. You know, it's the ending. It's very clear. And like, you just get time, a little bit of extra time to spend in the world and say goodbye. And it's awesome. Okay, so for my last needle drop pick,
Elliot loves your pick, by the way. Oh, he's going crazy.
For my last pick, I decided to not pick someone that is a famous director and someone that is probably a controversial director, but rather a needle drop that I think is absolutely iconic. It probably got thousands of kids into this band. It did not for me, because luckily I knew about this band already. Okay. I think it's probably like I could totally believe it being the best needle drop ever, but I would probably pick Head Over Heels by Tears for Fears from the movie Donnie Darko.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yes.
When that song, like, I was between this and a bunch of others, but I realized personally this song just has a lot of importance. This movie was the first movie I watched with my now wife, and we watched it in college. And my wife introduced me to Donnie Darko. I had no clue what Donnie Darko was, but I was a huge Tears for Fears fan. And when this song like dropped, I was just like, oh my gosh, this is just like perfect. Whenever I listen to the song, I think of this movie. It's such a perfect song that like establishing what a high school is and the vibe of a high school. And so, yeah, just Head Over Heels is an incredible song. It's such a bop. And sometimes I will find myself going on YouTube and just watching that montage sequence over and over and over again, because it's amazing. And it infuriates me that the director, Richard Kelly, like kind of didn't really make anything as good as that again. But like Tiny Darko is so good. It just doesn't compute in my head. But yeah, that would be my last pick for needle drop.
Yeah. Is Tears for Fears a controversial band, or is Richard Kelly a controversial director?
Richard Kelly. Tears for Fears.
He hasn't made a good movie. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
He's kind of bombed like badly. Like he made 2, I think, other movies, and both of them were pretty critically panned.
I'm a big Tears for Fears fan, so I was worried they did something that I didn't know.
Oh no, I just saw them live recently.
Oh no, I was like, no, what? That happens a lot on this show.
Yeah, no, they're doing great.
More than a lot. Yeah.
I actually like all 3 of Richard Kelly's movies, but he never made anything as good as Donnie Darko. Like that's just the truth.
I've heard Southland Tales is fun, so I might check that out.
It's very, very weird, in a Richard Kelly way, but it's I don't know. Maybe I just like it because it's weird. It's not a great movie, but I do like it a lot. So that there's that. This movie. This is on my list, as well as the movie, the needle drop at the end of the movie that is a cover of a Tears for Fears song, is on my list as well. Yeah, this is a great pick. I think you basically summed up what makes this so great. I love Tears for Fears, and this is just a great pick. So yeah, there you go.
Yeah, the other one is the one I consider for this list as well. So many of these movies have so many great needle drops. I feel like if you're going the soundtrack route over the score route, you're bound to have a bunch of bangers. Rather than like, I feel like very rarely will a movie have just like, one really good needle drop. Like I feel like if you have a good needle drop in a movie, you probably have like 6 or 7. So it's good. It's good. Jacob, any thoughts on this one?
Yeah, it's a movie that I've only seen the one time, so the scene isn't really sticking out to me. I remember liking the movie. I don't think I loved it, so it's one that I need to go back and rewatch.
Nice. Chad, I know you're a big Donnie Darko and a big Tears for Fears fan. What do you think of this?
Yeah, I love Donnie Darko. It's like one of my favorite movies. And this the one? Because I know they have that on the Bunnyman one. Is this the one where they're going through the school and stuff like that?
Yeah, the girls hop out of the bus, out of the back of the bus, and then it hits slow motion.
Yes.
I want
Oh.
you to be Oh,
There you go. It's such a like a perfect the mom's reading it, or the Stephen King book It.
Yeah.
It's just like a perfect like sequence to like set up like a lot of the characters and stuff like that. And it's just like I don't know. It's just like the vibe of. I mean, I don't think that like it like makes like much sense like lyrically, but like the vibe of it just really fits this movie in like the very quiet, like soft kind of way. And yeah, this movie low-key has a ton of great needle drops in it.
Oh, for sure.
And, you know, just one of those movies. I highly recommend this if you haven't seen it. And it's just, yeah, this is a great pick, Charles.
Listen, I'm starting to question you guys' commitment to sparkle motion, but no, just a little trivia. We're gonna have an impromptu trivia contest here. Do you guys know what 2 movies are playing at the
Once Night of the Living Dead, right?
No, it's a different Dead movie.
Oh, Return of the Living Dead?
Evil Dead.
Evil Dead.
It is Evil Dead. That's right.
And
is it Psycho?
The Last Temptation of Christ.
That's right. That's right.
That's a great trivia
combo.
Yeah, that's a double feature. I want to see Evil Dead. Which one do you start with? That's the question. I feel like you have to end with Evil Dead, right?
End with Evil Dead.
Well, yeah. Last Temptation of Christ, he dies, and then everyone rises.
Or you stop Evil Dead after he cuts off his arm, and then watch Temptation, and then after Temptation, you go back and you finish Evil Dead.
The machete order. Yeah. I love it. All right. Jacob, you still have your 2 needle drops on the board. Which one are you going to go with first?
Yeah, and apparently I went a completely different route than the rest of you when thinking about this, because I was like, well, what songs do I like that I've heard in movies? And one that I just think is really fun, and it's really recent. But I thought the opening to Deadpool and Wolverine was just so much fun. Yeah. And you know, accompanied by Bye 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 from NSYNC, which shout out to them for changing the name of their YouTube video from Deadpool and Wolverine. it was fantastic. I just think it was such a fantastic opening. I remember I was watching it in the theater and that song came on and I was like, oh, this seems like a very Deadpool choice for a song. You know, between the shot of him, you know, doing the fight and then him dancing. I thought it was perfect. I thought it was a great way to open the movie. I had so much fun with it. And yeah, there's no personal connection here other than I just thought it was really fun and I loved it. So
no, that's a great pick. Hey, listen,
that's a great reason and a great pick.
Yeah. And I think in terms of last year, that is the most iconic needle drop in terms of pop culture for sure. You know, there's so many good ones, but like that one, I think is one a lot of people are referencing. A lot of people love to talk about. It was a viral moment for a reason, and I love the dancing intertwined with the fighting. I like how it's an action montage, but it's also the opening credits, but it's also like it cuts back in Deadpool's like
a music video.
Like the actual dancing from NSYNC, which I think is so fun. It's one of the best moments of that movie, bar none, for sure.
Yeah, that movie has the 2 best needle drops of the year. In my opinion, the 2 best needle drops of the year are in that movie. One at the beginning, one at the end. What was I going to say? That moment, what I love about it, one thing that I love about it is that there was this question when you bring back Wolverine. There's this question is, are they going to disgrace the legacy of Logan? Which I say you can't, because it's his own movie. And you can never do anything to a movie that already exists unless the director or something does something bad. You can never do that because that movie's always going to be there. And it will always be the same movie, so you can never do that. But the question is, are you going to shit on what the ending of Logan, basically? And they immediately answer that question by completely shitting on the end of Logan, which I think is incredible.
Yeah.
But it's I love that moment, and it's a great pick.
Nice. Chad or Charles, any thoughts on Bye Bye Bye?
Yeah, I mean, I feel like the Deadpool movies are just like the perfect kind of like take a song that might have been, you know, overplayed or like kind of like a roll your eyes kind of thing, or maybe like something that like is maybe like meant generally for like teenage girls or something, but like make it like set it to like an action sequence or something like that. I think like that's just like really really fun when they do stuff like that, because it kind of makes the song even cooler and that moment
yeah.
even cooler. So I think this is one of those moments, which is I'm glad that Jacob picked it, because a lot of feel like a lot of us are trying to pick a lot of like older stuff that we just have loved for a long time, but like this is a more recent one, and like at the After Sun pick too. There's just like a couple more like recent ones that are just like they're still doing it. The amazing stuff.
Yeah. Charles, any thoughts on this?
Yeah, no, I love this one too. It's probably my favorite part of the movie as well. And like I am someone that has like been deep off the Marvel train for like years now. And I think I've only seen 3 Marvel movies, and this was one of them. And I think I just have a lot of, I don't know, my favorite Marvel movies are usually ones that like just kind of actually just don't give a crap about the lore and just kind of try to sell you some kind of a story that can kind of stand alone. And I felt like this did a good job, even though I had seen Logan. It did a great job of like basically giving you enough information about everything else in this one scene from the other movies, but then just like introducing the tone of the movie more so. And the tone in Deadpool is way more important than the lore, and like this sets off the stage so well for that movie. So yeah, highly recommend. And I love that like boy bands are kind of going through a nostalgia phase right now, because like there are a ton of needle drops with boy bands that are pretty famous recently. So
nice. Yeah, I love it. Matt brought up a good point, which I agree with. 2 of the best needle drops from last year. The only thing is it's such a stacked year that at the end I'm going to rattle off just for last year needle drops, because there were so many good ones. But yeah, I mean, the Deadpool movies are doing a good job of needle drops. So, MCU in general has a good track record with needle drops when they really commit to it, at least the comedic ones. So maybe some more will show up on this list. We'll see. Matt, you are next though, and you still have one more needle drop to take and your song and dance number. What do you want?
I'm just going to take my needle drop, and I'm just going to say I'm going to wave goodbye to this long list of needle drops that I have, and just take the second one on my list, which is, and I asked you guys about this earlier because it did. I asked Chad and Dylan about it earlier because it's kind of both a cover and a needle drop, because while it is a needle drop, all of the characters in the movie sing it, and not only do they sing it from different places, so it's almost non-diegetic, so it feels like it could be several categories, but I'm doing it in needle drops because it's primarily a needle drop, and that is Wise Up by Amy Mann from Magnolia. If you've never seen this movie, number one, watch it. It's real weird, but it's very, very good. Paul Thomas Anderson he's just incredible. He makes almost exclusively good movies, in my opinion. Almost exclusively great movies, I should say. But in this particular sequence, it's a moment toward the end of the movie where every person in the movie is at their lowest point, and everybody is just everybody is just contemplating their lives and what has gone wrong in their lives to this point. And at that moment, Amy Mann's Wise Up starts playing, and then one character starts singing the words to it, and then it cuts to another character in a different place, in a different room, who also starts singing to it. And eventually it just goes to each character from the movie as they sing a little bit of this song as it's playing in the background. It's beautifully done. It's my favorite moment in this movie. It's one of my favorite moments in Paul Thomas Anderson movies, excluding There Will Be Blood, because nothing is better than There Will Be Blood. But it's one of my favorite moments in all of the other Paul Thomas Anderson movies, but it's definitely my favorite moment in this film. And it's really, really incredible. If you've never seen it, I highly recommend going to watch it.
Yeah. Another guy who is a king of needle drops. So good. Just one of those great modern directors. Also, R.I.P. We miss you, Philip Seymour Hoffman. That's all I'll say. I miss him so much. I miss him so much. Chad, any thoughts on this one, on Magnolia?
I also love PTA. I have a few PTA blind spots, and this is one of them. I'll get to it one day.
You'll love it. At least you'll love this scene when you see it.
I probably will.
As a Tom Cruise fan as well, because this was one of his only Oscar nominations. It's great. Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Jacob, any thoughts on this one? Have you seen Magnolia?
I have not. I added it to the list. It's on the list to watch. I've been marking it down.
Sleepover is a whole week long now. Charles, any thoughts on this one?
Yeah, I love this movie. PTA is a big favorite director of mine. And I don't know his period from, I think he did Punch Drunk. No, he did this one before Punch Drunk. But like there's a period of like 10 years where like, I don't know, I would say PTA is probably the best director of his time during that 10 or 15 years. He kind of had like a chokehold, kind of similar to like how Scorsese had like this 10-year, 15-year run where like every single movie was just a masterpiece. And this is one of them. I will say like initially the concept and premise of the movie is a little overwhelming because I'm usually not a big fan of like, we're going to show you 15 characters and all of them are going to have their own story and they're going to intersect some way. But he finds a way to do it in a way that doesn't feel overwhelming. And this song in particular is just awesome. Yeah, big fan of this movie. And I definitely second Tom Cruise. I think it's one of my favorite roles of his. He's like, it sounds crazy, but like in a stacked cast, he's one of the best parts and best performances of that movie. So, yeah.
I will agree with that, which is a surprise for me because I'm not a huge Tom Cruise fan. So I will actually agree with that. I'll also say that I agree with you on the 10-15 years of PTA because I recently reviewed Boogie Nights.
Boogie Nights is incredible.
It's great, but it doesn't feel as much like PTA as everything from Magnolia to Present does. Like there's a point where Magnolia feels like he finds his voice, and once he finds his voice, he just makes this string of great movies, which I like. Inherent Vice, I think a lot of people don't. It's kind of divisive, but I think includes Inherent Vice. Some will say stops before Inherent Vice, but he just made this string of incredible movies. That were awesome. Yeah.
Well, it's because like Boogie Nights is almost him doing Scorsese in a way. So it's not completely like his own style yet. But like, yeah, you're right. Punch Drunk and Magnolia, like that's when you start to really figure out that he's figuring out his own tone.
Yeah, on a different level, yeah. Love PTA, love that pick. So many great directors represented today. I love it. So many different genres. I did tease it earlier. I'm going with a Tarantino pick. I think he is my favorite director who uses needle drops, and my number one needle drop of all time. If anyone was following my TikTok series last year for my birthday, I covered my top 10 needle drops. I think Chad suggested the topic actually, and I made TikToks counting down to my birthday of my top 10 of different categories. And this was my number one needle drop. Still probably my favorite needle drop. I'm surprised I'm taking it in the fourth round, but only because I knew I'd probably be safe to get it because it's not the first Tarantino needle drop you think of, but it is another new pick. I know Chad was praising the new picks from like Deadpool and Aftersun. I'm going to 2019 to Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, and I am taking the needle drop Out of Time by the Rolling Stones. This is, for me, my favorite needle drop because I love when a song is not just catchy, not just a great like mood setter, but also tells the story in a way that the words of the script don't. And this needle drop takes place right after like the bulk of the movie has transpired, about 2 acts in. Before that third act, it's when like it's a little bit of a time jump, and Leo's character has gone on to Italy to do his Italian Westerns, spaghetti Westerns. He's coming back home with Brad Pitt's character. They've kind of ended their relationship as stuntman, and now they're just kind of buds. They don't work together anymore. And this is also right before the big Manson house invasion. And this is the point of the movie where if you're watching it the first time, you think you know what's coming next, and that is the terrible murder of Sharon Tate. And the whole time you're kind of anticipating it and dreading it because it's one of those things where you're like, oh, like I'm not gonna be able to watch this. This is so heartbreaking, especially because this whole movie we've been seeing her as this like beautiful, angelic, pure soul, and it's so heartbreaking to watch that we're gonna have to see her murdered. But those who know the movie, and I hope everyone here has seen it, so I'm not spoiling it, she doesn't get murdered. It's a revisionist history, just like Inglourious Bastards is. But the device of having the song play as it's setting it up, the whole sequence is just a montage of different signs in California, their lights turning on as if it's like the end of the night, and they're putting their like neons on, and it's just this great montage of California and LA. It's a great love letter to LA, but it's playing Out of Time, and the whole time you're thinking that this is leading up to her death, only to find out that it is not that, because this movie is quite literally out of time with the time, timeline of history. It's kind of taking a road veering off to a different kind of revisionist timeline. It's quite literally out of time with history. But it is also this out of time, basically speaking to the fact that we are almost out of time in the movie, that Sharon Tate's life was almost out of time, that this character and this relationship is coming to an end, that everything's going to resolve. But it almost seems like it's going to be a sorrowful resolve, but it ends up being a really happy ending, which is why it's called Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, because it is a fairy tale. And I love that this needle drop is that kind of segue into that final act to set up the stakes without saying it. Like, and now we're going to take you to the night Sharon Tate her house was invaded by the Manson. Like, they don't do that. Instead, it's just this really kind of like bittersweet needle drop out of time. I just think it's one of the most beautiful needle drops if in my recent memory. I just remember sitting in that moment and just like dreading what was coming next, and almost shedding a tear, because it was, baby, 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 you're out of time. And I'm like, oh no, like I'm not going to be able to handle what's coming next. But then rewatching it, it's almost like this comfort of like, no, like we're not going there. We're going to a more positive place. It's funny how in Inglourious Bastards, it's revisionist history to murder the terrible person, Adolf Hitler. But then this one, it's the opposite. It's saving someone and kind of giving them a proper ode that doesn't resolve in a bloody murder, which I think is beautiful. So this is my favorite Tarantino needle drop. It's my favorite needle drop in cinema. It's just the one that I resonate with the most. And I think it's just a gorgeous moment. It's a great montage. It's a movie that in a year without Parasite probably should have won Best Editing. And I don't think either of them did win. I think it was Ford v Ferrari, but either way, very strong year 2019. But I do think this one is the shit. It's the tits, as they say. So this needle drop is my favorite, and there also could have been like 6 from this movie alone, and like 20 or 30 from Tarantino's career. But this is the one I picked. I love it.
I'm gonna do what I did earlier and get the negative out of the way real quick, because I don't love this movie. I wish I did. And you actually, hearing you talk about it actually explains why I might not like it as much as you, because I went in thinking it was going, when I saw the name Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, found out it was about the Mansons, my first thought was, he's going to save Sharon Tate. And I thought that was a little bit disrespectful. So I was hoping they didn't do that. And then they did it. And so that's why I don't love this movie. But I do owe it a rewatch, because I don't remember the sequence you're talking about at all. I do remember what happens after, but I don't remember that sequence. So I really need to rewatch it with that thought in mind, and go, because I had a feeling they were going to do that. So I was never really worried about her. I was really worried that they were going to, because when they're killing off the evil guy, that feels right. If they are saying, well, if only these 2 men had been there, that feels wrong to me. And so I was hoping they didn't do that. And they did. But as I said, I know how much you love it, and that makes me want to rewatch it. Inglourious Basterds is my favorite movie, so I have no problem with revisionist history. Or not my favorite movie. It's not my favorite movie. It's my favorite Tarantino movie. So I have no problem with that. I just wish I don't love that, but I do need to rewatch it, and I'm going to pay particular attention to that scene.
Yeah, that is a very valid criticism of like, yeah, it's the 2 guys who save, but there was also a third. Brandy the dog, she is part of the equation that saves Sharon Tate as well. So,
and I hate the way that I hate everything about Brad Pitt's character in that movie, from how he murders his wife to how he treats his dog. Right. And I absolutely hate the way he treats his dog in that movie.
Okay. All right. Well, agree to disagree, but no, I'm glad you're gonna give it another try.
You like that he's mean to his dog?
He's not mean to his dog. I never got that, but he feeds it. He's like, you can't eat until you do exactly what I want you to do. I guess. I don't know. I never really took it as that. More so like, this is my badass dog. She's gonna tear you apart. But I don't know.
Which is the bad way to raise dogs.
Right. But yeah, you're right. You're right. It's an emulation of him. It's exactly what I would think his. He doesn't actually like do anything harmful to it. It's kind of like the guy in John Wick with his dog too. Like, and that you don't like that movie either, John Wick 4. So yeah, that's another good point. I should rewatch it as well with some of the criticisms in mind. But
no, you continue loving that movie. I am not trying to make you not love that movie. I want to love it with you. So
But the
can do it
needle
that
drop,
way instead.
nonetheless, is a great needle drop. It's a great needle drop, even if it doesn't have any emotional subtext of the story. It's just a beautiful love letter to the streets of LA at night when everything's a little quiet and the lights are turning off for the night, and everyone's settling in for bed. Like that. I love that kind of mood setting needle drop as well. So I'm happy to have it. It was either this or the one with the severed ear and Reservoir Dogs, so I won't bring up that specific title because I don't want tip picks. But this was the more inspired choice I felt. So, and it's my favorite. So, any thoughts on this one, Chad? We've talked about this one on your channel. What do you think of this one?
Yeah, I mean, I actually do love this movie. This is up there, one of my favorite Tarantino. I think it's just because it was one of the last great theater experience that we had before the pandemic.
Mm-hmm.
It wasn't right before, but it was this Knives Out, stuff like that. And I just like the end of this movie. It's just so wild. Yeah, so I definitely do have a soft spot for this one. But yeah, I didn't really remember the needle drop, so I just kind of put on the scene as people were talking a little bit, and was kind of watching through it. And Dylan's right; it's actually kind of fantastic.
Yeah.
And I just love seeing all the different stuff happening. You even have like you're talking about the city and stuff, and they were lighting up all the signs. And then there's the one part where they light up a movie sign, and it's one of Dylan's favorite movies. So I'm like, of course he loves this sequence. But yeah, it's just one of those great Rolling Stones needle drops. I feel like there's so many. You could have a whole draft probably of Rolling Stones needle drops. They're just so prevalent in film, and one of the greatest bands of all time. So
what I will also say, I send this video to Matt and Chad, but if everyone hasn't checked out Patrick Willem's video essay about needle drops, he spends 5 minutes on this one needle drop. It is fantastic, and I was a fan of it before, and then I watched his video and I was like, oh my gosh, hearing him talk about it. That's the part with the whole out of time, you're out of synchronization, you're going to a different timeline. That part I didn't pick up on until I watched this video, so I want to give him credit on that. I didn't come up with that. But the whole where you're out of time now, you're in a different timeline is his interpretation of it, which is really cool.
Nice.
So,
I do want to clarify real quick. Whenever I said that, when I saw the name, I knew it was going to happen. The reason I knew it was going to happen is because at the beginning of Inglourious Bastards, it says "Once upon a time in Nazi-occupied France," and so as soon as I saw that, I was like, "Oh, they're referencing the storybook version of the story."
Yeah. Jacob, any thoughts on this one?
Yeah, so I saw the movie once, and so it's one that I need to go back and revisit as well, because I do remember really liking it. But I like the scene you're referencing. I just don't really remember it. But obviously it's great, just the way you're gushing about it right now. Obviously it's your favorite for a reason. And then I just to you were talking about the editing. The fact that it wasn't even nominated is still baffling.
Did not even get nominated?
It wasn't even nominated for editing, and that is still...
Was that the year that Bohemian Rhapsody was nominated?
That was the year after. No, Bo Rap won editing the year before, which is crazy. No, this was the
telling
year.
You,
was it
the
Ford
Oscars
v. Ferrari?
Sometimes don't know what the hell they're doing.
Yeah, because Ford v Ferrari won. 1917 was probably nominated. Parasite.
No,
1917 was nominated.
No, it was Ford v Ferrari, and then it was The Irishman, Jojo Rabbit, Joker, and Parasite.
The thing about... Here we go. No, the thing about 1917 is that, which is kind of a surprise because you think that the editors would feel this way, but to make a movie that looks like it's one shot, the editing has to be incredible. And so people, I guess people didn't think about that.
And I'm with Birdman too. They snubbed Birdman because they thought, there's no editing, it's one take. And it's like, of course there's editing, it's one take. It's not a real one take.
Not one take. It looks like one take.
Yeah, exactly. That was one where of all the shit I give that movie, that's the one award I would have given it, was editing, and it didn't get nominated. But
which movie?
1917. No, but everyone knows how I feel about Joker, but it's fine. It's just over once upon a time in Hollywood. I don't know.
Right. No, I agree.
Yeah. Charles, any thoughts?
Yeah, I do enjoy Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, but I listening to you talk about it, Dylan, I found more things that I could appreciate about it on rewatch, but also listening to Matt, what you said, it reminded me that there's also more reasons why I have trouble with this movie as well. And it's not necessarily the Sharon Tate stuff, but although I find that argument kind of really fascinating, actually, and I'm kind of considering there is a kind of running theme about how women characters are treated in Tarantino movies that I find always compelling, especially along those lines. But the reasons I have trouble with this movie is Bruce Lee. It's confounding to me. Bruce Lee's treatment in this movie is like possibly racist. It's like it's absurd almost, and that's the part that is always difficult for me to watch, especially considering how tragic his own life is in comparison to Sharon Tate. It just feels weird to like treat someone that tragically died in Hollywood that poorly in a movie that's about redeeming someone that was also treated horribly in Hollywood.
Very good point. Yeah.
And Brad Pitt's character is detestable. I hate him.
I was about to say another shitty Cliff Booth scene. Yeah.
I hate him so much. But Leonardo DiCaprio is so good in this movie. The editing, like you said, Dylan, is on point, especially with how the Manson attack sequence at the end, the whole way that is edited, it's like I still like laugh so much about how Mikey Madison is killed in that movie. It makes me laugh so much. And it's like, I guess in some ways it's probably the most optimistic Quentin Tarantino movie in a long time, which is also wild because a lot of like really negative things happen in that movie. So yeah, hearing you speak about it, Dylan, gave me a deeper appreciation because I've only seen that movie twice and I really enjoyed it both times. But it never really clicked for me as much. I think that's why I ranked it low when we did rankings, Chad, on this. But I really appreciate you speaking to it because it's giving me a deeper appreciation for that needle drop.
I'm just realizing, Charles, you were on that ranking too then. Tarantino.
Yeah. I'm forgetting. I think I had Hateful Eight and this at the bottom, maybe.
Yeah, that's
or
fair.
maybe I don't know.
I remember like half of us had it at the very top, half of us had it at the very bottom.
But you had it very high. Yeah.
It was my number one. But that's also
That's right. That's right.
I remember that was the night of the subathon. So I had done the 24-hour subathon, slept for 2 hours, woke up to do Chad's wrecking. That I forgot who all was on that panel. So I'm sorry, Charles, I didn't reference you when talking about it. But we got to move on from this. Enough on my pick. I'm done talking about it because I love it and we all have great opinions on it. But we have to move on. Chad, what is going to be either your song dance number or your final needle drop? You're going to get both right now, but which is going to be first?
Oh, right. Okay, well, thankfully...
It's always a surprise when it comes to you. You're like, oh, it's my turn.
Well, because I keep forgetting when I'm up. I'm sorry. I am going to go... Okay, my song and dance number I got to think about for a second. So I'm going to go with my needle drop, and I'll save my big show number for the end. So I'm going to go with another movie that I just absolutely adore, and I think that this song is just so important to the story and the characters that and it's also iconic and it creates an iconic scene. And I'm going to pick Peter Gabriel's "In Your Eyes" from Say Anything.
Nice.
I knew you were gonna pick this.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm kind of a broken record. Like any chance that I get, to give Say Anything, pick Say Anything for something or just talk about it, I normally take it. So I think I've talked about it a lot on draft day. But it's because it's a movie that for the longest time I had never seen it. I'd never seen like many John Cusack movies. He was an actor that I kind of decided that I didn't like for a long time for some reason. Like I just saw his face and I was just like,
oh my God.
No.
We are so the opposite on that.
And then he just had like a bland face to me for some reason. I was like, no, I'm good. And then I realized, I think I saw like High Fidelity and then realized how incorrect I was. And then I just started
he's great in that.
Watching a lot other movies and stuff like that. And Say Anything is like the big one that clicked for me with John Cusack. I just think it's like one of the greatest love stories, one of the greatest like romances of all time. And this song plays such a big part in it. And it's not played just once in the movie. It's played twice. And, the first time is when they're making love in a car. But it's one of those times where like he's really nervous about it, and she can tell. So like he's like shivering and stuff, and so she then comforts him, and she's like, just listen to the song. It's a great song, and it is a great song because Peter Gabriel's one of the greats. And then later on, after they're having troubles in the relationship and stuff, he shows up with the boombox, and that's the iconic part where he holds up the boombox high and he's playing that song. She hears it. Unfortunately, like the way it's edited, it doesn't really make a lot of sense because he's not outside of her house in that scene, so it looks a little weird, but it's iconic nonetheless. And it's one of those where he plays it, she hears it, and then she knows that there's someone out there thinking of her, that that love will like never die. And it's just one of those great iconic needle drops that I feel like because it plays so it plays such an important role in that movie, that it's just I feel like I had to pick it. So yeah, another very personal one.
Nice. Yeah, I knew you were gonna pick this. This is the first one I wrote down in that category just because it's the one that it comes to mind. Even though it's not my favorite, but I was like, I'm not even gonna risk picking it because if I pick it, I love it, but I'm like, I knew you were gonna pick it. I think it would be a disservice to you to pick it, because I know how much you love this movie. And I don't love the movie, but I love the needle drop. But I know you love the movie and the needle drop, so I was like, I want Chad to get it, so I didn't even bother taking it. But I'm glad it's here. I knew it would come up. It's on most top 10 lists of needle drops, so it makes a lot of sense. I love it. It's great. Matt, Mr. Love John Cusack's face from the get-go. What do you think of it?
I didn't even put it on the list, not because I don't like it, but because I was like, Chad's going to take this, and I don't want it. And I don't want to take it from Chad, so I didn't even put it on my list for that reason. But yeah, it's iconic. It's one of the most iconic things in cinema, I think. Like one of the most iconic needle drops in cinema. It's very good. For John Cusack, for me, there was a point where up until like the early 2010s, like for me, John Cusack had never made a bad movie, and I just loved everything he made. So I've always loved him. So, but that's what I meant by I was the opposite. I was like, no, he's always been great. But yeah, it's a great pick. It's iconic. Well done. And to get it so late, like it's a value pick,
right?
Yeah, good draft value. Charles, any thoughts on this?
Yeah, I love this movie a lot, and I know, Chad, it's one of your favorite movies. And the song is amazing. Peter Gabriel is just awesome. Like Genesis has now been on this draft twice now. So
that's right.
Cool. So yeah, it's a great pick, Chad.
Jacob?
I haven't seen the movie.
Nice. You're gonna have to go sleep over at Chad's one night.
Where's that list, Jacob?
Chad has a joint sleepover.
It's at the bottom. It's at the bottom.
Don't worry. You're gonna be having a sleepover. You're gonna hear. You're gonna open the window, and Chad will be standing outside Matt's house.
There you go.
Yeah, I know what you guys. I just have
one of my favorite bands from my early 20s was called Say Anything, but unfortunately they don't have any needle drops in movies. They do have a needle drop on Scrubs. But
Say Anything has that song Graduation Day that I would play every time someone graduated.
Nice.
So.
All right. Well, let's graduate to the final round here of the draft. Chad, okay. What is going to be your song and dance number here? You put it off long enough, and Matt and I still have to pick ours. So this is big.
Yeah, and I'm actually okay. So I think what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna pick one. And I'm going to see if it gets, I'm going to pick one. That's my first step in this process. And then I'm going to see if it gets vetoed for this category. If it does, then I'll pick something else.
Okay.
Because I think it's a big song and dance number. But see, it's weird because it also does have a fantastical element to it. So I'm going to pick, and it's a movie that Dylan doesn't love, but I'm going to pick Drive It Like You Stole It from Sing Street.
I think
haven't seen it recently enough to know how much song and dance there is. So
Defer to
I will
Matt.
let y'all.
Okay, so here's the thing: song and dance number, I guess, does not have to be non-diegetic. So right, like it doesn't have to be. And if they're singing and they're filming a music video, and there is some
Well,
dancing involved.
in this sequence, they're not filming a music video. In the
Don't
sequence,
they film a music video in the movie though?
they film a lot of music videos in the movie, but this sequence in particular is actually a dream sequence.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So
I'm never gonna veto something like that. So I'm gonna let unless I think that it is completely out of bounds. I'm not. So I think it's close enough for me. I'm not gonna veto it. So I'm gonna leave that to Dylan, or if someone else has seen it and knows. I think because there is movement. They do move in the dream sequence, and it is and there is a fantastical element because it is a dream sequence. I would say that it qualifies.
Because I know that like.
I'm watching him dance. I'm watching them dance right now. Like, is this it?
Yes, that's it. Well, that's a montage of the movie.
That's a montage, but that is
That's
there's
not in
that
the
song. I mean, that's...
so
Yeah,
the part where
I'm not gonna be a huge stickler. It's fine.
The part
I'm
where
looking
they're
at it
all
now.
the part where they're all dressed up on the stage and they're singing on the stage in costume, or not costume, but like uniform or whatever, with their hair all done, and then people are in the audience and they're dancing and just having a really good time. That's the sequence. You're watching like a music video of like a lot of scenes cut together to the song. But the actual sequence in the movie, copyright, I don't know.
No, I'm turning it down. Sorry, I was hoping you would talk so they wouldn't hear the song.
Oh, sorry.
I'm gonna say no. It's fine. Take it. You're good. I just don't like the movie and I don't like the song. But that's no reason to veto. Yeah.
Well, for me, it is one of my favorite movies. I think that it's like the movie itself. I just love what it does for like brotherly love and just like showing a kid who has kind of a hard life because of his parents are not doing so well, so his like home life is kind of broken, and his brother has like this whole thing where he has like unfulfilled dreams that he never lived up to, and then wants to see his little brother like succeed and go on to be something more and accomplish something that he never did. So that's a lot of the reason why I love the movie. And I think that this sequence is one of the big things where it shows in his head like what he could be at one point. Like they're writing a lot of songs and making a lot of songs, but like this is like his like I guess perfect imagination of like them being an incredible band playing this incredible song. I think it is an incredible song. I think it's just like such a one of those like like a slapper, like a banger, I guess, kind of a deal where just like I love throwing it on and just having fun listening to it. But the sequence itself is just so fun, and it's just one of those where it's the complete like opposite of like how his daily life actually is. So when you start that sequence, everything's perfect, everybody's happy, they're dancing, having a good time, and he's seeing kind of like an idealized version of everything around him. And I don't know. I think that's why this really plays for me. Like I didn't write a lot of like big like numbers from like actual like musicals, because I know Sing Street's one of those that's on like the borderline. Like it's a different kind of musical, but it's not really like a musical. And even though it's getting a musical adaptation, I'm really sad that there's a bunch of musical numbers that I almost picked, and then I decided to go with this one just because I think the scene is just really incredible. So, yeah.
Yeah, I'm not gonna veto. I should go back and check. Every video I was trying to look at had them on the stage singing it and dancing along to it, so I thought that was fine. But if that's not part of the song, then I probably would veto it. But I'm going by what I saw, and it looked like they were dancing, so I'll take it. Yeah.
I do really like this movie, and I like this song. I think it's really great. Jack Rayner, does like the best brother performance in cinema, or one of the best. Like he's very, very good. I really love him in that. I love that in this movie how he keeps going through the different phases of music, and because that's very true for a certain type of person who just wants to express themselves, but their influences keep changing, and so they're trying to find their voice. Like I was saying with PTA before, like his you make something because you love it, and even it can still be good until you find your own voice, and then it becomes like yours. And that's kind of how art works a lot of the time. And I think I really like how that does. That sequence is great. I just watched it recently, and I'm trying to remember which exact one it is, but I remember it well enough to say yes, that's very good. And I think it's fine for the category. So
cool. Jacob.
Yeah, I really enjoyed this movie. Also, I think the music in it is great. I think the song is fantastic. Yeah, I think it counts. I'm not gonna have any problems with it either. So yeah, I think what's been said about it positively is I agree with. So yeah, I like it.
Charles.
Yeah, I still haven't seen it. Chad has recommended it to me before, and I still haven't seen it. I need to definitely get around to it, but I've definitely heard good things about it. And I definitely love another movie that probably inspired Sing Street. So yeah, I would probably like Sing Street a lot.
That's definitely one that Carrie and I will like always throw on. So come over.
Yeah, you could have a lot of houses to sleep over in and watch movies.
I'm here for the sleepover.
Right? Sing sleepover. All right. I'm actually glad you went that route, Chad, because I was worried you were going to take something from my movie that I'm going to pick. I said earlier in the first round I'm going to take Singing in the Rain for my song and dance, but I like the fact that like we're not doing a lot of doubling up and tripling up on movies.
Yeah.
We're kind of letting each movie kind of shine in their own light. So for that sake, I will spread the wealth a little bit because I also have a lot of great song and dance numbers on my list, and I want to kind of vary the representation a little bit. There's a song and dance number that came out this year that like I almost picked, but I was like, it's so recent. And I don't know if I will feel the same way about it in a few years or if I'm just caught up in the moment. But a lot of the people online after that clip had surfaced, I'm not going to name the name in case y'all pick it, but that clip had surfaced and a lot of people are like, this is the greatest movie musical of the last 10 years, the greatest movie musical moment of the last decade, whatever. I have always said yes, except for, and it is yes, except for Steven Spielberg, because I think people forget because it was a box office flop that Steven Spielberg directed, in my opinion, the best movie musical of the 21st century, and that is West Side Story. So to give a little love to it, I'm going to pick America as my song and dance number. I just think it's the best kind of culmination of choreography, musical influence, musical revamping with the orchestrations, the choreography from Justin Peck. I believe he's the one who did the choreography for it. And then Ariana DeBose's performance, who is my favorite performance of that movie of that year, with the great what, Matt?
No,
Is it not?
No,
what?
it is. I Mike Feist.
Okay, yes, you're. I still think Ariana DeBose is the best performance in that movie, but I would not.
She is my other. It's 1A, 1B for me. I love them both so much.
But I was going through like a lot of my past Pickle Award winners, trying to figure out if any of these nominees from this year are also previous nominees, and I realized I gave her the award for Best Comedy Actress, Musical, and Supporting Actress that year, and then I gave Rachel Zegler Best Lead Actress that year and Best Young Actress. So I was all in on West Side Story. Love that performance. Love the number. Love that it celebrates the culture in such a vivacious way, and I love that Steven Spielberg knows how to like actually film a musical number, to let the dancing speak for itself, to not cut between every freaking dance move, and to just let the dancing speak for itself and really allow the performers to shine. Everything's in broad daylight. You can see the color. It doesn't feel like it's part of a studio set. It feels very lived in. The colors, just the way he reinvents some of the moments of and using the street to communicate the language of the dance as well. I think it's a perfect musical number. I think it's probably my favorite musical number of quite some time. There's another movie musical that hasn't been represented somehow that I'm hoping gets picked in the last few rounds. Probably won't, but I'll shout it out later. But this is without a doubt my favorite movie musical of quite some time, and I wanted to represent it, even though I do think there are some older classical golden age musical numbers that could probably rival this, but I'm happy to have it, and it's my favorite director, and he made a movie musical after so many years of wanting to do it, and he's someone that doesn't have a lot of needle drops because he just has John Williams score all his movies. So when you can find those Steven Spielberg needle drops, you got to take them when you can. So I'm very happy to get America here, which is not even everyone's favorite musical number from that movie. I think there's a lot of great options, so I'm a fan of that one, though. That would be my pick. So that is my pick here, number 5 slot. And any thoughts, everyone, on on America from West Side Story. There's also a great classical version of the song. I wouldn't begrudge anyone for picking as well, but I like this version just a slight bit more.
Am I the last one to do song and dance?
Yes.
Okay. So I decided that I wanted something from this on my list, but I only wanted to pick one to put on my list, even though there's a bunch. So I almost went with Officer Krupke, and I almost went with the Jet song. I almost went with those, and I almost went with Cool because I think the way they did Cool is incredible in that movie.
It's really cool.
Yeah,
it is really cool. But the way they did Cool in that was
the internet likes to shit on it, and I disagree. I still like the first version of Cool better, but like it's such a cool reimagining of that song that like I don't know how people could complain. But
I like the new version of Cool better. There's only there's very little actually that I like better in the old version. I think the new movie is just better. But I decided to go with America. So this was the one on my list. I think Ariana DeBose, I fell in love with her in this movie. I also fell in love with Mike White. Not Mike White. Mike
White though. Mike White. White Lotus premiered, I guess, last night. So go check it out. But
School of Rock.
It's cool.
Yes. Survivor.
He's there.
Mr.
Sneebly.
Mike Feist and Ariana DeBose, I fell in love with both of them in that, and I thought they were both incredible, and they were both my favorite performances from that movie. But yeah, this is a great pick. This is what I would have picked from that movie, even though I love a lot of the numbers in it. So this is great. This is good. I'm glad this movie is represented.
Love it. Chad, one of our most controversial coin flips on Picture This between this and Coda, but was a runner-up for Picture This for our Best Picture prize. This and Coda had tied, and then we flipped the coin, and so I'm very glad though that this was represented Picture This positively because you famously didn't love the first one, and I was worried you wouldn't like this remake, but you love this remake, so I'm very happy. What do you think of this pick?
It's kind of like always a little embarrassing to think about the controversy because
it's okay.
I rewatched it and I'm just like
don't relive it for me. Don't let me relive it. For anyone who doesn't know, he called tails. It was tails, but he didn't hear Siri call tails, so I reflipped and then it was heads.
Dang, this was controversial.
If you watch it back, West Side Story did win, but Chad didn't hear it, so I let him have a reflip, and then Coda won. So, but I'm happy with it. I like that movie.
It just I can't.
Everything worked exactly to Chad's plan.
Anyways, yeah. No, this is definitely a great pick. I'm not as high on the movie as Dylan, but that's because he's saying it's like like the best movie musical of the 21st century. I do think it's up there though, so I'm not
definitely probably for me
off.
since 1971. I would say.
Wow. Okay. Yeah, I'm pretty far off of that, but I do really because I didn't love the original. But I'm wondering if I'd like it more now because then I didn't love the songs. This is the movie that got me into the songs, made me want to listen to the recording just on its own. And I just kind of fell in love with this movie, like the direction, everything that plays into that song. Just the way, like you said, the use of color, the flowing nature of the how it's shot is just incredible. Ariana DeBose kills it, and I do think if you want to see not that the original's version of America's bad, it's definitely not bad, but it's one of those things to where I feel like if you want to see two films where one sequence is repeated but done better in the later version, just watch those two sequences. And I feel like this one just because in the other one they're just kind of all just standing there in one room. I feel like
they're on a rooftop. It's a rooftop.
No, on a rooftop.
They're not
right.
going through the streets or anything.
Yeah. So that's why I feel like that this one, he definitely found a much better way to have them going through the streets of America. And, talking about how great America is, I guess, or how not great it is. I can't remember what the real meaning of
bit of both.
Okay, there you go.
It's a commentary on just the immigration experience and
right.
The American dream in a very sometimes positive, sometimes cynical way. That's why it's such a great song too. It's
Yeah, which is another great reason why it's great that you picked it. So
Jacob, thoughts on this one?
I think it's a great pick. I love both versions of this movie. I think there's good parts in both of them. I do think this is better than the musical number. I do think is better here than in the original. I like you said, the color, the dancing, the I think it's all fantastic. So I love the pick. I wish Ariana DeBose would pick better movies.
Fire her agent? Yeah, I do too.
It's been a little bit downhill since then, but
yeah,
let's
my
hold
favorite
out
two
hope
projects of hers are two that happened before the Oscars, like The Prom and then West Side Story. She booked, and then after she won the Oscar, all the work she's booked since, I've not been a fan, but not her fault. But yeah, no, I agree. Charles, thoughts on this one?
Yeah, no, I love this. It's one of the few remakes that's better than the original. I will say I'm partial to the original still, like in some ways, and that's just basically because it has two Twin Peaks actors in it.
yeah.
Oh God,
It's
Charles, I'm falling in love with you every minute of this, this episode.
like Dr. Jacoby is I love his performance. I'm just calling him Dr. Jacoby. Yeah, Dr. Jacoby, he plays the best friend in West Side Story.
Riff.
Yeah, Riff. There you go.
Oh my
And
God.
and then obviously what's his name?
The guy who plays
Uh,
Tony.
the rich guy.
Yeah. Oh, Richard Horn. He
Yeah, Horn,
plays
yep.
the main. He plays the Romeo in West Side Story, or I can't remember.
So
Tony.
cool.
Yeah.
Tony. So yeah, but I do love this song in particular from the remake. Honestly, most of the things from the remake are better than the original. It's just like it improves so much about it, but it also feels in some ways like a sequel. Weirdly, it's a great movie, and this is a great song from it.
Because the Doc story feels like a continuation from the first one. Like that.
Yeah.
So it does feel like
Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah.
Russ Tamblyn, is Riff. He's also in Django Unchained, which I just realized for the first time.
Oh yeah.
Cool.
Yeah, he's
Alrighty.
great.
Moving on now, Matt. You get to tell us your song and dance number. Is it from West Side Story? Is it
God.
from Singing in the Rain? Is it something else?
God, guys, you didn't help me. You didn't pull. you didn't narrow anything down. Literally, the only one not on here is Time Warp. That's the only one that got taken off of my list.
And America. You said
Oh,
you
and
wanted-
America. Yes, sorry. Besides that one, but I already
I
mentioned.
helped a
I guess
little.
I already mentioned both. You guys did. You there are two. Listen, I'm looking at my list.
I just thought of one off the top of my head that I'm not going to change it, obviously, but I'm just like, I just thought of a really good one. I'll wait till a lot of them. Matt
So
might
I'm looking at my list here, and one might look at my list and go, "Gosh, hasn't this guy ever heard any music that came out after 2000?" And the answer is probably not really, because basically after I graduated high school, which was 2003, I stopped listening to the radio, so I don't really know much after that. But I think I'm going to go beyond the year 2000 and go to the year 2001, and do El Tango de Roxanne from Moulin Rouge.
Nice.
Wow.
There's so many numbers, and here's the thing: I just need to tell you the ones that I was going between, because I was going to do "Make 'Em Laugh" from Singing in the Rain.
Yeah, that's a great one.
Because I really love it. But then when Dylan was like, "Well, we've got a nice spread here," I was like, "That's actually a good point."
Yeah.
And maybe I should branch out a little bit. And then Chad left. He hated it so much that he just left. But I also, there's one very recent that I really, really like, and there's two musical numbers from Matilda the musical.
That was the one I just thought of now. I was like, I'm not gonna say because I think Matt might pick it. Yeah, Revolting Children was the one.
Revolting Children is the one that's on my list, because I did the school song for our Goodbye 2023, Hello 2024, whatever year that was. I did the school song as my scene of the year. So I was like, I'm going to do Revolting Children because I love that, but I didn't do it. And then the other one was Sweet Transvestite, but that has already been, that movie has already been represented. So I decided to go with one that I love that hasn't been represented, and that is Moulin Rouge. this movie is a jukebox musical. It's mostly there is one original song, I think, in it, maybe two, just one, I think. Just one. There's one original song, but almost everything else is jukebox. It is from other things. This one takes the song, the song by the Police, and not only makes it work for this movie, but puts it in a different style, and just the scene is just so beautiful. And when you listen to it, it's heartbreaking. Like that song is not like a happy song to begin with, but when you listen to the way that it's repurposed in this, it's just heartbreaking to listen to them. And when you see the scenes, like the shots of what's happening in the movie with her having to do this thing she doesn't love, it's keeping her away from this man that she does love. It's just a beautiful, heartbreaking sequence, and I really, really, really enjoy it. So, and it's grown on me. It was not one of my favorites when I first saw it. I was like, I don't know that I love this. But the more I listen to that soundtrack and the more I watch that movie, it grows on me every time. And to this point, I love it. It's one of my favorite parts of that movie.
That's a phenomenal pick. I don't love that movie, but that music, yeah, there it is. On the list to watch.
Yeah, I haven't seen it.
Yeah, it's a movie I don't love, but I love that moment, and I love the thing that I love most about that movie are the musical renditions. No, what am I thinking of?
Renditions sounds right to me.
Adaptation. No, there's like there's a word for it, where you take something and you put your spin on it. I am
rendition is a word that
no, I'm thinking of a different word. Yeah, okay, fine. The different musical renditions.
Arrangement.
That was it. Thank you. Are the different musical arrangements? Thank you.
That sounds more professional.
Yes, I'm in an intimidating pool of people who are very good with words, with a comedian, an English teacher, and a grammar police cop right there. So I love that I found the word. Thank you, Matt.
I thought I was the comedian. Damn.
I didn't specify who was who. No, we know Charles is the English teacher. We're all comedians here. We're all also beautiful poets. Yeah, this pick is great, and it's one that actually hits. Somehow they made it even more badass on Broadway. So if you ever see it on stage, it is an epic moment as well on stage too. It's one of the only moments that really they just nailed again on stage, whereas other things are either better on stage or better in film, but this is one where it's like both film and stage, they nailed this moment. So really cool. Jacob, you guys said you hadn't seen it. Charles, have you seen this one?
I have. I love Moulin Rouge. It's another one that my wife introduced to me, and I really enjoyed. And I did honestly go through this soundtrack multiple times in preparation for this, and I thought about taking one off from it and putting it on, but I decided eventually not to. But yeah, I love this pick. The movie's great. I'm a big Baz Luhrmann fan. I know he has some clunkers out there, but honestly, even his clunkers are fascinating to me. I just think he's just a really fun director that, I don't know, he does what Zack Snyder tries to do, but like Baz Luhrmann pulls it off.
Oh, what a way to describe it. Yes.
Because
he is what Zack Snyder wishes he was.
Yeah, he's just like, he has the actual like style to pull it off. Yeah, just big fan of Baz Luhrmann in this movie for sure.
Cool. Just a little update. Chad said his power went out. It is still out. But I'm trying to see if he can get connected to his phone. We will still go because Chad's draft is complete, but I do want him to at least come on here and react. So if he doesn't get back on, I'll see if I can FaceTime him in or something. But Jacob, we will continue with you now. You get to do your needle drop, and I will still keep messaging Chad. But go ahead, Jacob.
Yeah, like I do this with most drafts so that I'm a part of my final pick is because I know like there's polls and whatnot, and my final pick it's not something that's for the poll. I'm not picking it because I want to get the votes. It's something that I enjoy, that I love. I did
Speaking
it with
Chad is alive. He's good.
I did it with the Disney voice draft when I picked Jermaine Clement as my final pick. I did it in the Adam Sandler draft when I picked Juan Hernan Gomez from and he's gone. I picked Juan Hernan Gomez from Hustle. So that's what I'm doing here. From the movie Grind, which is a skateboard movie that's got an 8% on Rotten Tomatoes, but I absolutely love this movie.
I've seen that movie.
I haven't. This is great.
And it includes a song from a band that was a big part of my high school years too. The band POD. The song is "Boom," and it's played during the final skateboard battle in the movie Grind. And I think it represents that time period so perfectly for me. And I love the song. I love skateboarding. I'm not good at it, but it was something that my brothers and I connected on. We played Tony Hawk's Pro Skater all the time. We watched X Games. It was something that we connected with, me, my brothers, and my dad, while my mom and sister were off watching Dragon Tales on Ice or something. That's what they did. And we were like, we're gonna watch some skateboarding stuff. And it's not a great movie, I will admit that, but it's one that I love. I enjoy it. There was another moment in here that I wanted to pick where they're dancing. I'm going to spoil it because I don't think another Grind song is going to get picked. But they do a dance to "Bust a Move" by Young MC, which is also fantastic. So yeah, I really enjoy this movie. I enjoy the skateboarding aspect. I love the song. It represents that time period for me so perfectly. I think it was 2006. The song "Boom," the band. 2003. Yeah, sorry. And yeah, it represents that so perfectly for me. The band POD, the album Satellite, I listened to. It wasn't until later that I found out they were a Christian band, which I was like, oh, okay, that's cool. And they're being like used in just the media. I think it's also got a fun cast. If you go back and look at it, again, not a great movie, but something that I was able to connect with my family on, and yeah, it was just it was a piece of my childhood.
Adam Brody is in it.
I was gonna say I need to join the sleepover because I've never heard of this movie, but I'm very excited now because I love movies that have bad ratings but have their lovers and defenders and fans. It's what Matt and I show is all about. But love this. I love a passion pick too. You were complaining last round that like everyone's going personal, but I'm gonna go mainstream. But then you pick Grind. So Jacob, you are a champ here. I love that. And it is. I love a good 5th round passion pick. It's the best type of draft. I love it.
I should probably take a note there and not do my entire draft as just personal, but I always do. I remember seeing this movie, and as a former child of the Lord, I did know POD was a Christian band because like that I knew them before they were cool guys, because they had put out a few just strictly Christian albums, and then they went mainstream, and the Christians, they were not happy. Well, some of them were, but some of them were just like, no, they are ours. Christian hipsters, but no, I remember the use of that song. I don't necessarily remember the scene exactly. Let me ask you, Jacob, since you may be the only other person in the world who has seen it, is this the movie where the person eats their entire burrito and then takes it back and says, I didn't like this, give me a refund? And they're like, you ate the whole burrito. And he's like, but your thing says that if I don't like it, you'll give me my money back or something like that. Like, no, what he does is he pulls trash out of the thing and says, I bought this, I didn't like it. You say I didn't have a receipt, I need a free burrito. And so they have to give him a free burrito that he doesn't have to pay for. That's what it was. Yes, it's that. It's awesome. But
I think it's both, because I think what you're referencing is they're trying, like, because they're poor, they're trying to get signed by this guy, so they're following around, so they use that to get food, but then they also that's the way I think we're introduced to Adam Brody's character. Is he's working and the guy comes up and says, I didn't like this, blah blah blah. So I think both of them happen.
Okay. That's right. Yes. Okay. It's been so long. It's been over 20 years, I think, since I've but yes, I do remember this. I love the passion pick.
Yeah.
I'll let anybody else talk about it.
No, you're good. I haven't seen this one, but I want to. Charles, have you seen this one?
No, I haven't, but I'm excited that it's an early Adam Brody movie because I really love him. I think he's great in everything. But I did look it up on Rotten Tomatoes, and I wanted to read 2 reviews that are really funny.
Okay.
Common Sense Media said, pretty much a complete waste of time. And then one of the audience reviews, which is so funny, is written by someone named JP. and they say you can tell Rotten Tomatoes critics are upset because they can't skate or get girlfriends. And I was just like, what a great dichotomy there. That's awesome. So yeah, I need to check out this movie because it sounds like a lot of fun.
I love it.
And Common Sense Media is a Christian review site, so
Yeah.
they were not swayed by POD.
Yeah, no.
No.
Just a little update on Chad. His phone also is dying, so he is not able to join us that way. But he's hoping the power turns on by the time we're done with our honorable mentions. If not, what I'm going to do is I'm going to ask Chad to film himself telling us his honorable mentions to tack it on at the end, because his full draft is known, which is good. And then he'll just have to watch this to find out what the rest were. But Charles, the Mr. Irrelevant pick here at number 25, you get the final pick of the draft. You got your original song Oscar winner. What's it going to be?
Yeah, so Best Original Oscar was pretty tough, and I thought a lot of mine were going to get stolen, but it ended up being okay. And so the one I'm going to go with is, I think, one of my favorite Best Original Oscar winners in more recent history. But I also think it was super influential in terms of like music biopics, but also music in general. And especially the direction that future winners for Best Original Song might take, because usually it feels like Best Original Songs are huge anthems or bombastic. But the one I'm going to pick for my Best Original Song Oscar is Falling Slowly by Glenn Hansard and Marquita Erglova from Once. It is such an unbelievable song. I love the story behind it too. It is basically the autobiography. Like, that song itself is the autobiographical like version of the movie. Like, you could listen to that song and get the movie story relatively. The story behind the creation of the song is really wonderful. Like, it basically, Glenn Hansard had it mostly written. And it was originally going to perform it by himself in the movie, but then him and Marquetta were like fooling around in the music store, and they were trying to do it as a duet, and it sounded great, and they were like, wait, let's film it. And so like the song is mostly even improv in the movie, as Marquetta is learning the song like genuinely, and it's just beautiful. And I love how like they were the odd man out like at that year's Oscars, and they killed it on stage too. Like, it's a great underdog story. And that movie is extremely influential. After Once like blew up, not only did it become like a big musical on Broadway, but it also like inspired like a ton of biopics and music picks after that. Sing Street is one, but I know there's a lot more. So yeah, a big fan of this movie and big fan of this. And I actually saw them live recently, and they performed this, and they just still kill it. Like, they're incredible performers and musicians. So yeah, highly recommend. I guess my last thought I will say about this is one of my favorite concert moments is when Glenn Hansard and Marquetta Erglova, they performed their encore, which is When Your Mind Is Made Up. They play that as their final song of the concert, but they play it without any like mics or amps or anything. They just play it fully acoustic, like yelling in the theater. And it's like crazy. Like, Glenn Hansard can still belt like as a busker. It's like insane. So yeah, that would be my pick.
Okay. I'm sorry. I need to go here. I need to go for a second here, because earlier when I was agonizing over having to pick my Oscar winner first, because I was like, I really want to pick something else, and I hope it gets picked, and whatever I had said there, but I had to go with the more personal one that was closer to my heart. This is one of the greatest songs ever written.
Yeah, it's so good.
And the performance is so it's flawless. It's beautiful. I can't listen to them sing this song without becoming overwhelmed with emotion. It's so good, and I really wanted to pick it. I'm so glad you picked it, because I wanted to talk about it.
Yeah,
I'm not even being hyperbolic. One of the greatest songs ever written. It's so good. And I'm just gonna leave it there. It's so good.
Jacob, have you heard this one?
Yeah, no, I heard the song way before I saw the movie. I ended up checking out the movie a couple of years ago. I think it's really good. I think the song is fantastic. Yeah, it's well written. It's one that it's on my playlist. I listen to it quite often. And yeah, I'm glad it got picked. It was if Lose Yourself had gotten taken, I would have considered this one. Actually, I would have considered all five that were that were chosen. I think we selected a great five.
Yeah.
These are like 5 all-time iconic best original song winners. When I was writing my list for different options, I realized afterwards, I was like, this could have been the draft. It was just drafting original song, because I was watching it. I was like, I don't know. I really don't know what I would pick. And it became tough. And I went more iconic, but I just, this song is so good. Also the stage adaptation, I know we're not talking about it, but it's so phenomenal. Kristen Milioti, who's now like really blowing up from the Batman, but this was my first introduction was her, was when she played Girl, and she played the piano, and she sang this on Broadway, and it was just whoo, so good. Her and Steve Kazee were fantastic.
That version's also on my playlist. Both versions
it's just fantastic. One of the best love songs ever written. One of the best songs ever written, as you said, Matt. So very happy there. And Chad did message me. It is on his list. So there we go, Chad. Very, very excited. That is the draft. Matt,
just one more thing about Falling Slowly. I worked at a video store for 8 years, and so we had those screeners that would play songs over and over again. When Once came out, basically they would play the whole song once every 30 minutes. And sometimes that used for other things, like I would hear the same clips for movies over and over again. I talked about it on Framewreck this with the Alexander, you're being unreasonable from Alexander. I would hear that every half hour, and it gets on you. It grates on your ears. I never once got tired of hearing Falling Slowly every 30 minutes. It was amazing.
Yeah.
So,
nice.
That's
So yeah, that's the draft. I'm gonna quickly rattle off everyone's picks. Chad's still not back with us, but I will have him film a video for his honorable mentions to pepper in once we get there. But our draft boards. Chad's draft board is Over the Rainbow from The Wizard of Oz, 1,000 Miles from White Chicks, Don't Stop Me Now from Shaun of the Dead, In Your Eyes from Say Anything, and Drive It Like You Stole It from Sing Street. I think the pivot from Wizard of Oz to White Chicks is the best thing he's ever
incredible.
Done in this draft. My list. My Heart Will Go On from Titanic, Holding Out for a Hero from Shrek 2, Under Pressure from After Sun, Out of Time from Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, and America from West Side Story. Matt's lineup is You'll Be My Heart from Tarzan, I Am the Man of Constant Sorrow from Oh Brother Where Art Thou, Perfect Day from Train Spotting, Wise Up from Magnolia, and El Tango de Roxanne in Moulin Rouge. Jacob's lineup is Singing in the Rain, Singing in the Rain, I Just Can't Wait to Be King from The Lion King, Lose Yourself from 8 Mile, Bye 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 from Deadpool and Wolverine, and Boom from Grind. And Charles Time Warp from the Rocky Horror Picture Show, Being Alive from Marriage Story, Ooh La La from Rushmore, Head Over Heels from Donnie Darko, and Falling Slowly from Once. So now we get to go into
that's a good board, everyone.
It's a good board, and there's still a whole, you can do a whole other
really
draft.
Diverse.
Yeah, you can do a whole other draft with our honorable mentions. So I think in the future, if we want to do like one for just needle drops, or one for just song dance numbers, or one for just Disney songs, like I think we could definitely fill that out. But speaking of Disney, I guess I'll start with the original song Oscar, because that is the smallest pool to choose from, just because there are only 90 winners. But Over the Rainbow was on my list, obviously. Moon River from Breakfast at Tiffany's is one of the greatest of all time. I'm Easy from Nashville, pulls in my heart. Last Dance, there was a great stretch of like dance songs, so like Last Dance from Thank God It's Friday, Fame from Fame, Flash Dance, I've Had the Time of My Life from Dirty Dancing. Like that whole stretch of winners was so fun. That's like my like workout playlist right there. A lot of great Disney songs: Under the Sea, Beauty and the Beast, A Whole New World, Colors of the Wind, You'll Be in My Heart. I had Falling Slowly on the list. My other rap song, pseudo rap, was Glory from Selma, but that's partially sung, partially rapped. I know there's another one that'll probably be brought up. And then the hardest cuts for me were Shallow from Stars Born and What Was I Made For from Barbie. Those were two really, really great ones as well. But it's such a deep category, even if it is the most shallow. Matt, what were some honorable mentions for you in original song?
Into the West from Lord of the Rings: Return of the King.
Yes.
I that would have represented that score for me. It's one of my favorite scores of all time.
Mm-hmm.
The Can You Feel the Love Tonight? My Heart Will Go On. When You Believe from Prince of Egypt is a really great song. Lose Yourself. Not To from RRR. Raindrops Keep Falling on My Head from Butch Cassidy and the Sundance Kid. And I love this song. I don't care about the controversy. I think people are wrong about it. Baby It's Cold Outside from Neptune's Daughter. Although in that case, in that situation, the woman is the wolf and the man is the lamb. But we don't. It doesn't matter. I think that people don't understand that song when they complain about it.
I love that. Jacob, any honorable mentions for best original song?
Yeah, just there's some that weren't mentioned already. Chim Chim Cheree from Mary Poppins is fantastic. I Just Called to Say I Love You, the Stevie Wonder song, which I didn't know was an original song for a movie until recently.
Mm.
And then the other rap song that I was thinking of, It's Hard Out Here for a Pimp from Hustle and Flow.
Yeah.
I never expected that to win the Oscar, but I'm so glad it did.
Here's the anecdotal thing I was going to say earlier about it is that watching the Oscars that year, Jon Stewart was the host, and after that song won, he comes out and says 3-6 Mafia 1, Martin Scorsese 0.
That's great. That's actually awesome. I love that.
That is great.
You have anything else, Jacob, or is that it?
That was it.
Okay, Charles, any other honorable mentions for original song?
Yeah, I'm gonna second Into the West. That was on my list, and I thought about doing it. I think the only reason I didn't pick it is because I think all three Lord of the Rings movies have just beautiful end credit songs. But my actual favorite one is Gollum's song from Two Towers. I just love that song at the end of Two Towers. It's just incredible, and it sets the tone perfectly. But Into the West makes me cry all the time. So I go back and forth. That is an amazing one.
Yeah, play that at my funeral. Like that's the kind of song it is.
I also had When You Believe by Stephen Schwartz from The Prince of Egypt. I think Prince of Egypt is a super underrated soundtrack. That movie is incredible, and the animation in that movie is beautiful as well. Remember Me by the Lopez's from Coco. That song is beautiful, and I love the message of it. And it kind of goes in that realm of like Falling Slowly, where it's just very simple song, very simple chords, very simple lyrics, but it's just beautiful because of the melody. And then probably last but not least, it might sound crazy, but I'm a big Flight of the Conchords fan, and I love this movie. Man or Muppet is an incredible song, and I was so happy that Brett McKenzie won this because, like, when you think of Flight of the Conchords, Jermaine Clement has like blown up in comparison. Like he has started many different TV shows. He's been the lead in tons of TV shows. He's been in Disney animated movies. He's been in musicals, action picks, like crazy, Avatar. Like Avatar. Yeah, it's a crazy amount of things that he's been in. But Brett has only really had the Muppets like after this. And so I'm just always so happy that he won the Oscar for this because I have such respect for him as a songwriter. And it is really, really, really tough to like write the songs for a new Muppet movie after it's been like a decade or two. The pressure I would feel in that position. And yet like some people might say like the best Muppet songs ever are from that movie. So big fan.
Nice.
Yeah, I love that.
Nice. Matt, what were some honorable mentions for you for a song and dance? You mentioned Matilda. Any others?
I actually named all of mine. Also Suddenly Seymour, because I had mentioned the ones that there, but Suddenly Seymour from Little Shop of Horrors is also one there. I just wanted to mention that because sorry about him when he was talking about how good the Prince of Egypt is. As someone who used to be in the Lord's Light, I sometimes wonder now that I am no longer in the Lord's Light, if my love for the Prince of Egypt is because I used to be religious, or if it's actually good. So I'm glad that you said that it's actually good.
Yeah, I think it's so great.
I know, Chad. Don't want to speak ill of the ones who are not here, but he's not a fan of that song because Armageddon lost for Diane Warren for I Don't Want to Miss a Thing for Aerosmith. So so he has a little bit of more of a hot take in that maybe not that he doesn't like that song.
I love it though.
He does like I Don't Want to Miss a Thing more. So he's not the
What
biggest fan of that
win. What if she had won? Maybe
if she had won.
Maybe we'd never have to watch a shitty movie for the death race again.
Yeah.
Oh my god.
She might win this year. We'll see. Jacob, did you have any song and dance numbers left, honorable mentions wise?
Yeah. So anything from The Greatest Showman. I love that movie. And then why am I blanking on what it's called from Mary Poppins? The one where they're in the they go into the picture. That whole
supercalifragilistic.
Supercalifragilistic.
Or
that whole sequence, everything.
Yeah, all of it,
from I love Mary Poppins. So
Love it. Charles, any honorable mentions for song and dance numbers?
Yeah, a lot. You Got Trouble, by Meredith Willson from Music Man. I think that's my favorite song from that sequence, and the performance and the way it uses choreography and the staging. It's just love that song. I think it's perfect. Welcomin', I think it's pronounced, by Cabaret, the opener. I remember Cabaret was talked about so much before I saw it. I saw it like just a few years ago for the first time. And so like I thought I like went in expecting one of the best movie musicals ever, and I like came away being like, yeah, it's one of the best movie musicals ever, and like that one set the stage. And this last one,
we
is
worship
more...
Liza Minnelli in this house. Just so
Yeah.
you know. We're no longer
Liza
the Lord's
Minnelli's
light;
great.
we're in Liza's light.
My last one is going to be maybe out there, but I'm going to pick Equal Rights by Connor For Real from Popstar Never Stop, Never Stopping. I love that song so much. I think the soundtrack is perfect. I will fight for the Lonely Island every day. And Equal Rights is just such a genius staging, and like the lyrics. It's just, I love the song so much. It's one of those songs that like, I'm a big fan of like getting your message across very effective. And it's one of those songs that like you could have someone that is the most like anti-LGBTQ person, and you could have them watch it and they would understand very quickly how stupid it sounds to be anti-LGBTQ. And it's just, but it's a funny song at the same time. It's just crazy. Love the song. I don't know if it counts as song and dance, but I counted it on my list.
I would have allowed it. My favorite from Popstar is I'm So Humble, but that one is also
that's
very,
so
very
good. Yeah.
Nice. My song and dance numbers, Seven Brides from Seven Brothers has that dance in the barn that is so good. The movie's very dated, but that is the best example of like Technicolor dance. Next to Singing in the Rain, which I have plenty of. Good Morning, Make 'Em Laugh. Moses Supposes, but I'm happy Jacob picked Singing in the Rain itself, so I didn't have to, so I could spread the wealth. One that just didn't show up on the list that I'm surprised, but also like it was just so stacked. But La La Land, Another Day of Sun, the one with the cars on the freeway, is still one of the most impressive things in the modern day movie musical making. Dancing Queen and Mamma Mia is so charming. It's even more charming in the sequel. Here We Go Again. Underrated movie masterpiece, 5 stars. Enchanted, That's How You Know, is also a fantastic one, especially utilizing Central Park. So those would have been my honorable mentions there. So we started those with Matt. Let's go to cover.
Oh no, we forgot. Oh, If I Were a Rich Man, from Fiddler. Also, To Life, and what's another one where they dance? The
Tradition, Bottle Dance, the wedding.
All of it. Just all of it. Just look at the soundtrack.
It was hard for Fiddler. I thought about Rich Man, but it is the kind of that one guy doing everything, but it is dancing. So yeah, I agree. Like anything from Fiddler is great. But yeah, we're moving on. Jacob, do you have any covers? Honorable mentions for any of the covers?
Yeah, I have a couple. Taron Egerton doing I'm Still Standing from Sing, I think is a fantastic rendition of that. And then Christmas in Hollis from The Night Before. I love that.
Nice. I love that too. Charles, any honorable mentions for covers?
I have a Moulin Rouge one. I really like Your Song by Ewan McGregor, which is a cover of Elton John in Moulin Rouge. Now, I think this could be vetoed, and I will acknowledge it. 2 things that could be vetoed, but 2 things I thought of was Nothing's Gonna Stop Us Now, Lip Sync and Dance by Bill Hader and Kristen Wiig, which is a Starship song from the Skeleton Twins. I think it is the best part of that movie, and I still watch it sometimes to raise my spirits a little bit. It's the perfect encapsulation of trying to cheer someone up and like failing and then succeeding. It's just beautiful. Bohemian Rhapsody from Wayne's World by Queen. I know they don't sing it, but like it's become so synonymous, honestly, that like I cannot think of one without the other at this point. And then one that I don't think could be vetoed, but one I really went back and forth and thought about picking was It's a Long Way to the Top If You Want to Rock and Roll by School of Rock, which was a cover of AC/DC. I think that is a wonderful song, and it's just such a great song to end the movie on. I just have wonderful feelings for that movie. So School of Rock, definitely.
Yeah. Those 2 other ones, the hardest category placement is the songs where it plays, but characters dance to them but don't sing along. So it's like, is it a
Yeah.
cover? Is it not? There's another one
Yeah.
from Almost Famous that is also similar. But I also think,
Mhm.
yeah, like that I think it could have gone either way. I would not have vetoed it necessarily, but I had those more needle drop. But either way, they're great picks. So I'm
Yeah.
glad you brought them up. My covers, A Waltz for a Night from Before Sunset. That's the one that she plays for him on the
Oh,
guitar that
yeah.
prevents him from leaving, where he misses his flight. He's like, I'm staying with you, and that's how they get married. It's beautiful. Pocket Full of Sunshine and Easy A, they keep coming back to it. It's such a great needle drop. Emma Stone cover. Hocus
Mhm.
Pocus, Bette Midler's "I Put a Spell on You" in Hocus Pocus is
Oh,
freaking
yeah.
badass. I freaking love it. Maneater, this is one that helped inspire the category. Maneater from No Hard Feelings, when Andrew Barth Feldman just gets on the piano and sings Maneater and Jennifer Lawrence like cries. I'm like, oh my god, this comedy that I've been laughing at is now ripping my heart out. What the hell? I did put Bohemian Rhapsody actually down undercover, so I thought they were singing along in that one. Your Song from Moulin Rouge is on my list. Being Alive was on my list. As Time Goes By from Casablanca, one of the iconic ones. It
Oh,
literally
yeah.
inspired the theme for Warner Brothers. The dun 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 dun. That's As Time
Oh,
Goes By.
yeah, that's true.
And then last but not least, this is one that I actually checked with Chad and Matt before the show because I didn't know if it was a cover or a needle drop, and it's kind of both because it starts as a bunch of characters singing something, and then they actually pipe the real song in to the montage, and that's Every Time from Spring Breakers. It's the Britney Spears song.
Oh,
That
yeah.
movie is an underrated masterpiece. It's probably the top 10 films of the 2010s for me. And that song is such an emotional moment of them sitting around the piano. It's this tragic kind of bittersweet moment where they're living in this ecstasy, not realizing that it's really a call for help, but they don't realize it's a call for help. And it is just one of my favorite montages in modern films. So I wanted to shout that out here because I would think of it more as a cover because they start playing and singing at the piano for it. But needless to say, it's a great needle drop. Matt, any needle drops or sorry, any covers you wanted to highlight?
Yeah, after you hadn't seen Oh Brother Art, I was looking at mine, and I think you haven't seen any of the movies except for Being Alive. That was on my covers list.
Okay.
Although I don't know, can't take my eyes off you from 10 Things I Hate About You.
Haven't seen it, but I love I've seen that scene. Yep.
Tiny Dancer from Almost Famous. I do consider that a cover because they sing it on their own.
I know that scene so well that
Yeah.
I've seen it, but I haven't seen the movie yet.
But I do consider that a cover, not a needle drop.
Yeah,
Although
yeah.
I think it's more similar to yours, where it does both.
Right.
Because Let's Get It On by Barry Jive and the Uptown Five from High Fidelity. Jack Black and his band in High Fidelity. And then Putting on the Ritz from Young Frankenstein.
Yes, great.
That's a great one.
I forgot about that. That's perfect. I can't believe I forgot about it. Okay, quickly, needle drops. Charles, you're starting us off with needle drops. I know there's probably a lot.
Yeah, there are a lot. So I think I'm gonna save my favorite honorable mention for last. But I thought about adding Across 110th Street, Across 110th Street from Jackie Brown by Bobby Womack. It is amazing. Each time you hear it, you're just like, yes, let's go. Woohoo by the 5, 6, 7, 8 from Kill Bill Volume 1. That is such a great oneer by Quentin Tarantino, and just it would be annoying if it wasn't just so beautifully shot. The Times Are A-Changin' by Bob Dylan in the beginning of The Watchmen. I love the graphic novel, and the movie definitely has some significant flaws, but there are so many sequences that are just perfectly done. And the beginning of The Watchmen, just, man, the first 15 minutes of that movie are incredible.
I think that's a great movie in general, but that is on my list. I love that opening sequence.
Yeah, it's one of those sequences when I watch it, I was just like, that really captured how the graphic novel feels. I also, this is going to be a crazy pick, but Threnody for the Victims of Hiroshima.
Okay.
Sorry, I don't know why I'm laughing. I'm laughing because it's a crazy pick. But the reason I'm also laughing because it's from Children of Men. And it's placed. I would personally, if we were doing TV, I would pick Twin Peaks for this. But since we're not doing Twin Peaks, I love Children of Men's usage of it. It happens immediately after the heroes get like absolutely shell shocked by this explosion, and they basically lose everything. And then the rest of the movie is a one-shot sequence, like that goes on for like 15 to 30 minutes, and Threnody kicks it off. And it like puts you immediately in that mindset of like, oh, they're probably gonna lose. This isn't a happy movie. I'm like in for a struggle right now. So highly recommend that. Born Slippy by Underworld from Trainspotting is such a jam. I love it. It opens the movie and it ends it. And it's just such a beautiful book case for it. Night Call by Kavinsky in Drive is a wonderful song, and that influenced a lot of soundtracks. Making Time by The Creation in Rushmore is awesome too. But the last song I really wanted to plug here was You and Whose Army by Radiohead in Denis Villeneuve's Incendies. Incendies, I highly recommend. It is one of the most tragic movies ever. It is soul crushing. It is extremely sad. And the opening of the sequence is set to this Radiohead song. And you could argue that everything you need to know about the movie is in this one montage sequence of just a bunch of child soldiers being kidnapped, being forced to like give up everything they owned, getting their head shaved, and then this song is playing. And then the final part is just one of the boys just looking at the camera in slow motion for like 30, 40 seconds. And you don't think it's going to be that important because the rest of the movie is very different. But when you get to the end of the movie, it makes that opening sequence feel extremely haunting and scary in a lot of ways. So yeah, highly recommend if you have not seen Incendies, one of his best movies.
Nice. All right. Yeah, Needle Drops. I have a ton. In Your Eyes, Say Anything. Dog Days Are Over. Guardians 3. It's also kind of a song and dance number. It's also kind of a cover in a way, but it's great. And all the stuff from Guardians is fantastic. It's hard to narrow down to one. It's probably why no one picked any of them. Stuck in the Middle with You from Reservoir Dogs, obviously. Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, I already. But The Irishman in the Still of the Night is my favorite Scorsese needle drop. Very melancholic. Thriller and 13 Going on 30. None of them sing, but they all dance to it. It's fantastic. Needle in the Hay is my pick for Wes Anderson in Royal Tenenbaums. That's the one where Luke Wilson's shaving in the mirror and just rips my heart out. Mystery of Love, Sufjan Stevens in Call Me by Your Name. Love the needle drops in that one. Losing My Religion's the other one from Ad for Sun that Matt hinted at. California Dreaming, every time they play it in Chungking Express, which is like probably 11 or 12 times, every single time I weep. It's great. Stars Are Blind, one of my favorite parts from Promising Young Woman, a film I have very conflicting feelings on, but that moment is great. Okay, I Want It That Way from Magic Mike XXL. It was my number 3. It was so good. If you want a guaranteed smile, watch that scene. It's they're trying to get a gas station clerk to smile, and so all the guys are outside watching this Joe Manganiello's character try to like do like the striptease for it. She's not having it, and then he just like does this whole needle drop dance to I Want It That Way from the Backstreet Boys, and then she smiles on the key change, and it's my favorite movie moment in like 400 years. Don't Stop Me Now from Shaun of the Dead. Rhythm of the Night, the best finale in any movie ever for Beau Travail. Sound of Silence from The Graduate, another great one that I feel like is a very basic pick, but a very great one. And then I have a list of ones that I consider for this very year for the Pickle Awards for Best Needle Drop. So I'm going to just rattle them off real quick. Rock DJ from Better Man is great, but that's also kind of a song and dance number. Greatest Day, the remix of Take That's Greatest Day for Nora is a really great way to start that movie. Like a Prayer from Deadpool and Wolverine's the other one. Bye Bye Bye. You're the One That They Want from Deadpool and Wolverine, where they're beating each other up in the car, is great. Anthems for 17-Year-Old Girl from I Saw the TV Glow. Come As You Are in using Queer. Nirvana. Dancing Queen using Venom is very good. Venom: The Last Dance. Father Figure and Baby Girl, the Nicole Kidman movie, is very good. I Believe in a Thing Called Love from The Fall Guy. All the songs in a Complete Unknown are great. A Different Man also has I Want to Be Next to You. That's the one that Adam Pearson sings at karaoke. That would be a cover. MacArthur Park from Beetlejuice. Beetlejuice is a little bit of a cover situation as well. Lip sync. Also, Sweet Dreams and Kind of Kindness, Uncle Ace in Challengers, and then We Are the World in The Greatest Night of Pop, which is tough because that's the whole movie is about that one song, so it's hard to decipher what it is. But those are all my needle drops. Sorry, that was a long list. Matt, any other needle drops for you?
Yes. My favorite needle drop from any of the Guardians of the Galaxy movie, and it's actually my least favorite Guardians of the Galaxy movie because I don't really like Volume 2, but the chain by Fleetwood Mac in Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2 is amazing for me. Mad World from Donnie Darko, which we alluded to earlier, Tears for Fears cover, but it's just used so well in that, and it perfectly inhabits the feeling of that movie. Times They Are Changing from Watchmen, which I mentioned. Bohemian Rhapsody from Wayne's World, I did have that in needle drops, not covers. Goodbye Horses from Silence of the Lambs. which I was going to say the line he says there, but my kids are in the room, so I can't anymore. Sound of Silence by The Graduate. Hallelujah from Shrek is one that I love. Everything from Garden State. It's one of my favorite soundtracks
Yes.
in the world.
New
Garden
Slam.
State.
But I only
Yeah.
put one on here, which is Iron and Wine's cover of Such Great Heights.
Oh,
But that
so
whole
beautiful.
album is incredible.
Yeah.
Losing My Religion from After Sun, and then as an honorable mention, because it's TV, not a movie, but I still need to mention it, is All Along the Watchtower from Battlestar Galactica.
Nice.
I should have snuck in some BSG. It's my favorite TV show of all time.
Oh, I love that.
I should have broken the rules.
Jacob, round us out here. Needle drops. What are your favorites?
Yeah, I just have a few that I want to mention. Till I Collapse from Real Steel, I think is good. I think my favorite Guardians is from Guardians 3, with the hallway fight where they play a No Sleep Till Brooklyn.
That's another great one. Yeah.
Then another Beastie Boys Sabotage in Star Trek Beyond. Yeah, I think is great. And then I think it's short, but I love that they were able to get the Immigrant Song in School of Rock.
Oh yes. Oh
yes.
Yeah.
And Thor Ragnarok.
And Thor Ragnarok. That was
Yeah.
that was going to be on my list.
I think it's good in both.
Yeah, and Shrek the Third, another great Shrek needle drop. But yeah, there we have it, guys. I'm gonna put Chad's
All-Star, obviously.
Yeah, All-Star, yes, All-Star. Yeah, I'm a believer. Changes, change. All those songs from Shrek are so good. I'm just gonna take this right now, and this is gonna be Chad's honorable mentions right here.
Yeah, so my power cut off like right at the end of the stream. It was really cool because I actually, wasn't cool, but it was good that I had gotten all my picks out of the way. But it was weird that I didn't have power for like 5 hours, so that was kind of a nightmare. But I am here with some more of my thoughts and some honorable mentions real quick. I heard that Matt picked the Roxanne song, the Police song, done in Moulin Rouge. I think that's a fantastic pick. I think the performer does that with like the really raspy voice and stuff like that. And it's really, really cool. I really like that version a lot. That was a really good pick. I don't remember the Jacob's pick Boom from Grind, but I do remember the movie Grind, and I think that's a pretty good movie. So I'm sure that's a pretty fun pick. And then also Falling Slowly from Once for Charles. That's a very Charles pick. That's a really, really good one. I really love that song a lot. I love that movie a lot. So it's a very kind of Sing Street goes hand in hand with that, so that's really cool. And then I'll go into my honorable mentions real quick, which are okay. So for my needle drops, I had Tiny Dancer from Almost Famous. It's kind of wild that didn't get picked, actually. That's one of the big ones. Raindrops Keep Falling on My Head from Spider-Man 2. Oh Children from Harry Potter and the Deathly Hallows Part 1. Red Right Hand from Scream. 15 Step from Twilight. I really wanted to mention this one because a lot of people give Twilight, just a lot of crap for just, maybe not being very good, but it's one of those things to where the Twilight movies, as mentioned in the draft, have a lot of really great like musical beats and needle drops and stuff like that. And as soon as Twilight ends and Radiohead's 15 Step from In Rainbows comes on, I get extremely excited, and that's the first time that I was like, wait, do I like Twilight now? So yeah, if you play Radiohead, you're probably gonna get me. Also, as mentioned in the draft, the Under Pressure needle drop from 2024 was in the movie Ghostlight, which I thought was a pretty good use of it. And then you have for song covers, Your Song by Ewan McGregor. So that's also for Moulin Rouge. He belts that amazingly. Somebody to Love by Jim Carrey from The Cable Guy is a pretty fun rendition of that. Waterfalls by Will Poulter, We're the Millers is really, really funny scene. For Best Original Songs, the only other two I had were A Whole New Worlds from Aladdin, and When You Wish Upon a Star from Pinocchio. That's the one that I thought Dylan might be picking until he picked Titanic, and then I was like, oh, of course he would pick Titanic. But the Pinocchio one was another one that I was like, that's super classic. And then, okay, so the big song and dance number, I was also thinking about, Do You Have Any More Gum from Billy Madison? They randomly break out into a song in Billy Madison towards the end, and it's crazy, really funny. I also had Cell Block Tango from Chicago and Summer Nights from Greece. I think the Drive It Like You Stole It scene is just a really, really good scene. So I just thought that would be a really great way to end my draft board. But yeah, the other ones I really wanted to pick too. So that was a really tough call towards the end there. But ultimately, I think this was a fun draft. So I'm glad I got to do it while I could before my power went out. And yeah, thank you.
And there you go. I just edited it in, so this video is probably even longer than the one we're recording. But thank you guys so much. I'm not gonna go through any big preamble on my plugs, but I would love to give you a chance to plug yourselves. So, Matt, any plugs for you?
Yeah, I don't know if I've mentioned it yet, but I have a YouTube channel called Matty Loves Movies, which you can come watch. I'm doing a 52-week challenge where I have 52 categories or themes that I will watch movies within that theme throughout the week, and then I make a video at the end of the week talking about it. So you should come around and watch. I'm currently on week 6, which is I just finished week 6, which was Oscar-winning performances. Nice. The next one is Oscar directing winners. I don't know how I say that, but director winners. The winners are directors. Oh my God. I have gone off the rail.
Best director winners, yeah.
Yes, there we are. But I also do Camp Film Camp, which is a show where we cover campy films. We do Cinema Soapbox, which is like a TED Talk style show where we talk about somebody presents something for a movie and a panel of guests ask questions and discuss it. And then I also do a game called All Time Top 5, where people do their top 5. Do a top 5 movies list, and then the other person has to guess what the title of that is. It's based on Dylan's top 10 game that he created. I just made a top 5 and moved it to my channel and stole it.
Don't drive it like you stole it. Thank you, Matt. And Matt is also on this channel on a show called Framewreck. And I just wanted to plug really quick because this is also going to be a poll, so you guys can vote on the poll for this draft, what you want to win. We're also having a poll for my next Framewreck episode for Nostalgia Junction is going to be movies I love, Disney movies from my childhood, and there are going to be 4 movies put on a poll for you all to vote for as the third film. I will not tell you what the first 2 films are yet, but the third film will be decided by you. I'll just show you really quickly the graphic. You guys will be voting between the Haunted Mansion, the Mickey, Donald, Goofy, Three Musketeers, Underdog, and the Game Plan. So if you are passionate about
what a lineup,
movies, right? What a lineup of very nostalgic and often panned movies, but I love them all. So go check them out on Facebook. Vote for your favorite there. And that'll be the third film that Matt and I cover on My Nostalgia Junction. Otherwise, you can watch mine and Matt's episode with Chris talking about his favorite movies from animated movies of his childhood and young adulthood. So check those out. That's going to be Ferngully, Cool World, and oh my gosh, Matt, help me out. Rockadoodle, I think, is the other title.
Oh, Rockadoodle. I love that movie.
Sorry, yes, Rockadoodle, Cool World, and what was the third one? Ferngully, yes. So cool. He got it.
There we go. So check that out and vote for my third movie on my Disney one. I will not tell you what the first 2 films are, but they're going to be great. Jacob, anything to plug for you?
Yeah, you can check me out over at the Lonely Marks Wrestling Podcast. We do that every Thursday at 10. And then over on Twitch, twitch.tv/Castifer, he's running a sports trivia league that I am currently a part of. So
nice.
I'm sorry, Charles. If you're not into wrestling, we're also going to watch wrestling since while you're over. We're gonna watch Omega Okada 2.
Right. I don't know what that means.
They're all fantastic.
Thank you as always, Jacob. Charles, first time guest, great job. Your first time is amazing conversation all across the board. All 5 of us, it was great. What do you have to plug? Anything on your end, Charles?
Nothing to plug myself, but what I will say is I'll plug something musical related, even though it's not movies. I will plug the TV show Crazy Ex-Girlfriend. Great music, great musical show. There's a lot of musical TV shows out there, but highly recommend Crazy Ex-Girlfriend because somehow that show did like 60 episodes and did 3 original songs per episode usually, and all of them were crazy good. So yeah, I'm gonna plug that. That's my plug.
Nice. I love it. And you can check out Charles. I'm sure he'll be back on this channel, and Jacob as well. And you can see Matt every month on Framewreck, and Chad, of course, every month on Picture This. He's also on some drafts. He also has his channel, Cinema Chad, and Welcome to Prime Time. So check those out as well. And check us out on the Dyl Pickle Movie Network TikTok. We're gonna really try to get it popping starting in March. Really getting that going a lot. So thank you guys so much for watching this one. Go vote. It's gonna be a tough one this time. I'll tell you that. I'll make the graphic and you'll be able to vote for that. Otherwise, thank you so much. Got Oscar coverage coming in the next 2 weeks. 2 weeks to the Oscars. Crazy to believe it. And then our Wicked draft will be the next draft. So stay tuned for that as well. Thank you guys so much, and we'll see you next time. Bye.